Futures downside here to start off this morning as we kick off, hopefully, what could be a bounce day after a bit of a sell-off to start the week on Monday. Overall, we're looking at more employment data out at 8:15. We got that ADP employment placement number that, or placement data that came through from last month. Higher than expected, and that means that if you're hearing that ADP name for the first time, it means that employers in the U.S. added more than expected employees to their payrolls last month. So we'll keep an eye on. Of course, non-farm payroll is coming out at the end of the week on Friday at 8:30. Make sure you're with us for that. Geopolitical tensions continuing as well. All eyes on the Middle East. See if there's any follow through as far as this sell-off that we saw yesterday that was kicked off by that. We did get a bit of a bounce, obviously, late in the day, but downside to the tune of about 0.25% here for the NASDAQ currently as we keep an eye out for, oil was wild yesterday. Both directions, very, very volatile. We'll see what happens today. Still a little bit of negativity, it looks like right now. Nike under massive, massive pressure here, withdrawing their forecast. We'll touch on that coming out here in a couple of minutes. But lots to discuss. There's more EV-related tariff headlines coming out of the EU this morning. That said, here we go again. It's another day, and all these Chinese EV names are to the upside again.
Booming, Brendo, booming. Chinese EVs on the way up. Short them at your own peril. We'll have a look at those on Midday show today. Lots to talk about with respect to those. Canada being pushed by China to remove some of the tariff EVs that they had implemented to kind of protect North America. Separately, Apple dropping a new iPhone SE. It's the first such launch since 2022. Also, the iPad Air getting a bit of an update there, Brendo. And to build on your point with respect to oil, the Saudi oil minister came out this morning basically and just warned the rest of OPEC Plus that we could see a $50 barrel if they don't hold on to the production cuts that they had agreed to last year. So we'll see how this all works out.
Yeah, this is what it looks like right now. We're coming down, as I mentioned, still positive on the day to the tune of about 2.8%. These are the futures, oil futures, downside right now. But yeah, if you zoom out a little bit, we had that initial move down yesterday, but then it was just straight to the upside on those headlines coming out of the Middle East. This, in the pre-market, this was about 2% negative, and then we went all the way to 71 before the pullback late in the day. So here we go again, 2 days in a row here, almost 3% now for oil. So far this morning, we'll see how this plays out. Sean is off today, enjoying a nice day off. Obi's in. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. It's a cross country meet. It's not even like hockey this time or baseball. No, Sean's his daughter's at a cross country meet today, so hopefully the weather is pretty good. Although I always feel like when you're distance running, because I did some cross country, I always liked it if it was a little overcast, not too hot, as long as it didn't rain, you were good to go. I feel like the answer to yesterday was go long K-Web and then go to bed. Long K-Web, go to bed. Or just be long anything oil. But obviously, you saw what the trends were. Like Chinese names were going haywire, defense names, oil names were all super strong when the market, and then the market was bleeding off. Now you get another gap. We're getting another gap up in the Chinese ADRs. Obviously, you're going to have some of these the EV names are extending the move a little bit more. But I mean, K-Web 7% again. And what's crazy about these moves is how much of these moves have happened on the gaps, really. And if you look at what we're gapping overnight, like a good chunk of all this, like K-Web here, like that's almost $2. And then you had a gap, this gap here was about $3. And overnight we get another $3 gap there. Now sometimes it's been retracing it, it does feel like the biggest gaps at least are gonna put you to the test at the pre-market lows. So I feel like it today, maybe it's not going to be like on Monday where you had that flush through, like you gap up and then you fill in the entire gap. But at least a test of the pre-market lows is already happening. And if it loses it, we saw the last time this happened. It essentially just was daring to be filling the entire gap. BABA filled in pretty much the entire gap. NEO filled the entire gap. So I think you got to watch out for that. If you lose the pre-market lows, I don't think it's something you want to fight. If it hangs on, then the trend continues. But you cannot ignore what happened in oil. XOM is within spitting distance of fresh highs. 122.75 is going to be in play. Occidental, we like for some continuation longs as long as oil holds up. And then you got Bitcoin tagging 60,000, Obi. Coinbase went SSR. over 10% down yesterday was Coinbase, just barely. It bounced from there once, but it's going to be short sell restricted today. I like those for little bounce plays. You throw in Nike. There's a lot to watch here today. So let's buckle up and just get ready for the party. And Tesla deliveries.
Yeah, Tesla deliveries.
Something for everybody.
One of the biggest catalysts that Tesla does have overall, right?
Yep.
It's either earnings or deliveries, and I think deliveries can have a bigger reaction as well. We've seen what that can do. And again, you're speaking on oil. I'm also watching RTX and LMT all-time highs on these tickers, kind of just been bidding up from the beginning of the year. And again, with these highs coming in 124.39, it's traded prior day's highs and trading even higher in the pre-market right now. We can go down to a 3-minute chart here. So looking for that, looking for a potential continuation. Now, again, I was kind of potentially involved with this a little bit yesterday. I was talking to Wayne about this yesterday as well. Nice little clean top here, 124.50. Bit of a flag building up with higher lows into that level right there, and we kind of we're trading above that in the pre-market. Should be interesting as well. I like LMT as well. I think this one also all-time highs, pretty much right there on Lockheed. Now this one might be a little bit spreadier than the rest. That's why I like the RTX. But yeah, XOM as well, kind of pushing almost to its all-time highs. 122, I think I have down here. Yeah, 122.75, 123.70s, I think is all-time highs if I'm correct. Just want to make sure there. Scroll back. Just upgrade your plan. But I have it on my other one here. Yeah, right there. So
yeah, right. 122.75.
122.75. Yeah. Okay. So I'll look up the specific price there. But yeah, these tickers near their all-time highs, pushing up even higher.
Actually, come to my chart because it's XOM you want to show. It's 123.75.
Yes, 123.75.
Right in here on XOM. So yeah, I feel like we just have to buckle up. You're the one that says it all the time, Obi. The trend is your friend.
Yes.
Till the end, when it bends.
Yeah, I do say that all the time, Neil. But then the funny thing is, the biggest losses I take is when I'm fighting the trend. I still have to do better with that. But
the biggest losses everybody takes are when they're fighting. Like it's like every single trader is
wasted so much risk.
Okay, I shouldn't say every single trader. Almost all traders do the same thing. It's usually you fight the trend or you fat finger, and those are your biggest hits, right? Like it's one or the other. Like a physical mistake, like a fat finger, you put a couple extra zeros and you just completely screw up. I've done that a few times in my career. It's never fun when it happens. Yeah. It actually happened a couple of times in the show, and I managed the position. Whatever. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. The trade was a trade. I meant to take the trade, but it is what it is with the fat finger. Sometimes, one time it worked out. One time it didn't. One time was on Square earnings and it was a good position. Like great. Another time it was not as good. But those things usually even out over time. But fighting the trend is no good. And we all do it at times because, I'm going to use an example right here. I know we'll go back to the desk in a second. But we were talking about Amazon, yes, Obi and I, because something happened on Amazon yesterday that was a confluence of levels that I'm like, I don't want to throw up, but I was angry at myself for not having the trade. I love these trend lines. So there's a support at 183.5 on Amazon. Then there's a trend from the bottom that lines up and essentially met up with that 183.5 on Amazon. So you've got support already, and then you've got a trend support line, and then Amazon did this at that convergence of the trend line and the support line on the daily chart. Like clearly buying at that support level. So if you're buying into this, if you're buying that dip or looking for that mean reversion, well, are you going with the trend or against the trend? You're going against the trend. So there are going to be situations where you find yourself lining up a trade that to you is an A or an A plus or whatever it be, it's good enough to take, and you're going against the trend. Now, ideally, I'd always rather have the break of the trend here, or depending on how you draw that line, I could draw that line like this, whatever line of best fit. It all converged on the same spot. I'd rather have the break of the trend than just be fighting it. But if you're scalping it too, there's nothing wrong with buying the dip at an obvious support level. But when it breaks the trend, like to me, that's the entry right here. Stop there, goes $1. It even gives a bit of a pullback. But yeah, you will fight the trend. It's just knowing that if you do so, you've got to have a really good setup. You have to have a really good price. Price is going to matter a lot. Timing is going to matter a lot. And having some kind of a setup that actually works for you. And by works for you, it doesn't mean, oh, it bounces and I made money this one time. By works for you, what that really means is when you're fighting the trend and you find a setup that works and you make money on it, do you make more than when you're fighting the trend and it doesn't work and you have the whole boat and you lose? Because if the answer is no, then it doesn't matter about the one that's working. Because if you're making too much on the one that then loses, then just don't fight the trend in general. And there's plenty of we're going to talk about this when we get to energy. Easy trend trades yesterday. I mean, that Indo yesterday was an easy trend trade. Anybody could have followed that trend. It was super simple. It's a lot easier to make those kinds of trades. But before I ramble for the rest of the day, let's go back to the desk.
We're just laughing because this moved back upside in the overall market. Seems like a big deal if you zoom in, very close. But that's the daily chart on the overall NASDAQ. So, yeah, teeny tiny little daily chart so far for the Qs here. But yeah, a couple things to note here. We're going to discuss Nike as well. Just give you more details on what the deal is. Down 8% here. The initial move after the close, or one of the initial moves after the close, was actually higher. And it seemed like that followed the Q4 outlook. So the Q4 outlook was actually a little bit better than expected. They're still projecting 8 to 10% decline in Q4 sales. But then they dropped the bombshell of, yeah, we're taking 2025 off the table. So when you get a new CEO at the helm, I mean, I actually don't think this is a bad move for the company itself. And here's why. If you zoom out on a weekly chart, just some perspective here. This is where we are this morning. So yeah, it looks pretty ugly on a smaller time frame, but if you zoom out a little bit, we're just back to 2023 lows on the overall time frame. So work to do, of course, but I don't think it's a bad move.
No, he's got to give himself room. I'm talking about the new CEO, Elliott Hill. He's got to give himself room to actually be able to, have his own imprint on the company. So here are the reasons why they withdrew that revenue target: to give him obviously more flexibility, to analyze the strategies that were in place, to analyze some of the business trends. It also leaves investors guessing, though, sadly, about the future direction of the company because we don't have any guidance. Analyst Day also was scheduled for November 19th. That's been kiboshed. He's gonna basically look to make it at a later date. They're also facing declining demand, Brendo, because On Holdings, Hoka or whatever it said, gaining traction. The company did offer more promotions, so they did eat into margins a little bit to get rid of some of the other inventories. And they're also expecting a weaker holiday season. You don't want to hear that for this kind of company.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out as we go forward here. I mean, all this said, this thing could be down 15% by the end of the day. I mean, we're only very early on, but we'll see how the market reacts here, guys, when things get going.
So Brendan thinks Nike is going to be down 15%, is what I heard.
Oh boy.
Down 7.5. You know what? I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that because we just saw after we opened up here, it's not a monster move, but like the ES just went, what's that, like 30 points to the upside, 35 points to the upside as Randy's looking at the markets going up. The NASDAQ made a move back to the 20,000 level. During that time, this is what Nike did. So it managed to actually, you can't see that in the chart, but I can see it on level 2. It took out $82.07, which was sitting on the offer for a while, and is now trying to print 100 shares at a time through 82.09. So that's okay. It just got through 09s, 14s is on. It's not moving. It's not bouncing at all. There's no volume in here trying to take it higher. So as we carry higher, it's interesting to me that there isn't any bouncing happening in Nike. I think that's not necessarily good. What I would point out in terms of the daily chart, at least because, if you're looking at trend support here, I mean, I drew a trend line, but sometimes I like the trend line because you don't have a moving average or anything in there, and you have to try to find the moving average that fits, and I just draw a trend line instead. Well, the moving average is right here at $80, and the trend line kind of lines up at that same support level. So I think you've got room down to that before you get to 15% down, which is certainly possible. You already had a flat bottom break and essentially filling in that gap. I always look at levels like this and say if it does pop, I want to be shorting into 85. But if it can't even pop to the upside, you've got to start thinking, if you want to go short, you don't have to do anything. You got to start thinking a little bit more shallow, which would be there was already resistance at 83. So if it's having this much trouble following the market, I just look at that resistance early at 83 and worry about the gap fill at 85 if it can do that. So Nike, not great news. The fact that it's having some trouble getting to the upside leads me to lean short on this stock on any pops that it does. If it gets to that 80 level, I think that's a good place to be taking profit on any short, just given the support on the daily.
Yeah, no, I think I like that look on Nike as well. Again, one of the top names on my list as well. We saw that just a couple of weeks ago, end of mid-September, we did have a bit of a strong move in the after hours. Now, I don't know what catalyst this necessarily was, but you can see that we kind of on the earnings reaction, high and low, we kind of clipped some of those levels. We're coming into that level right here. So I have this marked out, bit of consolidation high at 85s. I like that. And then the low of the earnings reaction here at 81.30. Now, again, I have put on a bit of an anchored right here off of overnight earnings price action right there. You can see that that's also sitting in and around that consolidation high. And by consolidation high, I mean, okay, we flush down, we attempt to push highs, we flush down to the lows, we make a low at 81.30, and then the bounce, we can only get up to about 85s and some change. I like that for the look. But something I was telling Neil this morning as well was that this price action that we see off of current earnings is within this aggressive sell-off that we had prior earnings as well. But we are technically making a lower high here off of that. So let's see what today brings in, but a bit of an inside move relative to what it did prior earnings here on Nike. Let's see if Nike will go for a run off of the open, or maybe, the shoelaces are untied and we kind of fall onto our face to the downside here below this 81.30. So we shall figure that out off of the open. I just want to wait and see, let some of that price action form, and then maybe take a trade off of that. I do like both of these levels here. Could be interesting action if we do interact with some of these highs and lows of this consolidation on Nike today.
Big move here for Joby, the eVTOL maker. Toyota going to invest an additional $500 million in Joby Aviation. This was the company that had those, I'll grab a picture of it, but the taxis, the air taxis or personal air taxis that were supposed to be approved for even use in New York City. $6 coming into play here, though. 21% all in one move here, just ripped up $1 for a $4 stock.
Brendo, where do I sign up? Because I'd like to be part of the beta flight, please. Joby representatives, if you're here listening to this, I'd love to be part of this. No, seriously though, guys. So it's 2 tranches payments that they're going to get from Toyota, so $250 million each. The funds will support the certification and the commercialization of their air taxi, specifically the electric air taxi. The terms include plans to establish a manufacturing alliance, and it'll bring the total investment by Toyota in Joby to about $894 million. That's about almost $1 billion, Brenda.
I was trying to find, it might have been here, back in summer of 2023, I think was the initial announcement that we got on this. There was a huge move back then. So we're at $5 right now, but off the lows at least here for Joby. Not a bad level, guys. Support anyways, 480 to $5.
Anyone would want to be on like test flights or anything. I mean, like if you're into that, like what are you, Chuck Yeager? I'm dating myself with that one. The most famous test pilot in the United States history, actually. But anyways, yeah, I wouldn't want to be on it. Like, it looks very cool. I think it's awesome. I think this is good news. I'm not going to say any of that, but I mean, I'm not trying to be first for something like that. Let other people be on those test flights and all that stuff. No, but I like the level here. I mean, Brendan just mentioned the support at 480. No, I'm sort of looking at the resistance or the prior resistance because it's blown right through all that at about $5.50 here. So 540, 550. You got an 18% short float with this. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, they report end of this month. Okay, so they report right before Halloween. October 30th from what I looked at. So yeah, it's not really that big of a deal, but just an interesting note. That $5.50 range looks like this, the previous resistance that I would look for support. The volume's looking very good on this. I would like to see it settle down a little bit going into the open with this pre-market trade. Probably have to pay for locates. Not that I'm looking to go short it, but sometimes if it's cheap, you'll pay just so you have the optionality there. So usually I'll fire. Oh no, we don't have to pay for locates. They're free. That's the other thing to consider. When you have a decently high short float, like an 18% short float and it's a runner, when it's free locates for day traders, you tend to find a few extra people looking for that mean reversion because it's cheap for them to do so, and all they see is the pullback, and a lot of times that can add a little bit of extra juice. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, 550 is the area I'll be looking at the open for this. Volume looking pretty good. Solid news as well. Whether or not you want to be like Sharif and get in one of the first of those is irrelevant to wanting to trade it.
Yeah. Oh boy. Flying to the upside as again, I'm looking at this right here. Toyota again to reiterate, 500 million in Joby Aviation. So yeah, let's take a quick look left. This is fresh news, guys. This is fresh news. This came out less than 6 minutes ago. This is still a 3 minute. Well, now it's 6 minutes. So now we've printed about 2 3-minute candles since that news came out, and that volume is coming in, pushing up into 610 highs. So let's take a quick look at the weekly and see where this thing has been. Thank you, Randy, for the coffee. All right, so prior highs right here, bit of a double top action here, 762s. Let's see what the float is on this thing. That's the first thing I want to know right away. Oh boy, okay, 3.4 billion market cap. And there it is, 391 million shares to trade or float. Not shares to trade. We don't know what the free float actually is, but again, that's a nice chunky size right there. So I think I like that. Can't really be messed with too much. Again, kind of comparing it to some of these smaller floats where the floats can be cornered. It's a little bit harder to corner a 400 million float there, Neil. So I do like this one a lot. Let's see some of these prior levels as well. Let's just go to the daily right here. So we are gapping up above this 550, so about 50 pennies below. And then the prior high right there at that 770. So let's see what we have in store with Joby today. Let's see if we get that continuation on that 500 million investment from Toyota. Nice little big name association. Right, Randy? Nice.
Let's go over to the green screen. Thank you, Randy. Got the cup of Joe. Now we get some upgrades and downgrades. Cheers.
It's a pretty stacked list today, too. Lots of interesting names to talk about here, starting with Salesforce, CRM up about 1% with this Northland Capital upgrade. We have Home Depot getting an upgrade here from Gordon Haskett. Diamondback Energy, the swing trades under the ticker FANG, F-A-N-G, getting this upgrade from Barclays. Definitely these energy names absolutely on watch with regards to what's going on in the Middle East. Last but not least here, Lowe's getting an upgrade from TSLA Advisor Group. Now on the downgrade side, Mobileye kicking things off with a note from XA and BNP Paribas. They also released some of their views for Mobileye's upcoming earnings, much lower than the consensus estimate. We have Zim Shipping getting this downgrade here from Jefferies Financial. Nike with a downgrade from TSLA Advisory Group. Of course, this one on watch with regards to its earnings and the impending CEO switch up on October 14th as well. And last but not least, Raymond James downgrading T-Mobile. Again, quite the list today.
T-Mobile there. No, I'm not going to leave that one alone. CRM 270. Okay, that was bad. CRM 270, like they got an upgrade. Who cares? I mean, it's been in an upward trend for a while, and the 270 was prior resistance. You can always see these key levels, whether you're closing there, opening there, closing up here, resistance. Well, when you break it out, where's been the support? Right back at 270 bucks on CRM. Once, twice. This doesn't count because it's a dark pool print, but you have 2 days in a row that it's bounced off the 270. If it makes it through, I mean, if the market does head to the downside, it's the kind of thing that you can look at for a support level. That said, if the market makes that move down, Amazon 183.50 is the one that I'm looking at because that was the big level from yesterday. It had all that confluence to it. But yeah, CRM at 270. If it holds this, you can maybe take out the top. Probably going to need a strong day in the market for it to do so. But it's up 1%. It has a kind of, I mean, upgrades and downgrades are kind of a catalyst. At the end of the day, when you're a trader, you just want reasons for stocks to do things. I don't particularly care what they are. It just gives you a chance to maybe trade at some new levels or get into some key levels and give a little bit extra volume to make the trade look good. But yeah, 270, good level for CRM. Nike downgrade should surprise nobody.
Yeah, that what you said, Ray J is doing the downgrades?
Yeah.
Or something like that, yeah.
Ray J's going down.
Oh, I mean, I've heard he hit it first, but with the downgrade. But we'll see. I like the Mobileye downgrades as well. Look at that. This thing is kind of, it's been downtrending prior since that past earnings report, even before that as well, back-to-back kind of flushes in and around these earnings with a bit of a downgrade right here, trading at 13.05. So that could be a potential for a bit of continuation. We shall find out. I do like CRM as well. Again, some of these tickers very, very strong uptrend. You can see, okay, oh boy, you can see this strong flush on this earnings from May. We've been holding the bid on that one, so maybe that's a bit of a swing type of idea there. But with an upgrade, let's see if we can get that bit of a push. Now, again, these upgrades and downgrades don't necessarily bring not the hottest catalyst in the markets, right? But I think that's if you're looking for potential trades, or maybe you have a playbook around upgrades and downgrades, these could be some to look at. Again, TMUS as well, TMUS, T-Mobile, with the downgrade. But if you look at this chart right here, Neil, this thing is hella strong. Let's go to a weekly chart right here. So you can see that these are pretty much all-time highs that we're trading at, only about a couple points away from that. We're trading at 205s, 208.16s highs on TMUS. So I don't know if a downgrade is going to really affect this one, Neil. But again, good looks here. Some strong, yeah, very, very strong stock on T-Mobile there. So some good names to watch out for with the upgrades and downgrades.
Joby back downside here, coming off that 610 high, but trying to hold 550 right now. So still a nice move. Again, if you missed it, Toyota going to drop an additional 500 million into the eVTOL maker and taxi operator. Tesla, I just saw made a day high there. Yeah, holding up a little bit better than the overall market. S&P 500, if you're not watching, is actually red right now. NASDAQ just holding on to 0.05, but nice looking chart here for Tesla to start things off, up 0.25% again ahead of the robotaxi event to come. We also have Nvidia back upside a little bit anyway. We'll get into this more in the rundown, but there's a big level here from yesterday around 118 that was kind of standing on top of this throughout the afternoon. We'll see if that comes into play again, but relative strength anyway.
Yeah, we had a bit of a headwind yesterday for Nvidia and maybe the other microprocessor names yesterday with TikTok making a deal with Huawei for some advanced AI chips. So we'll follow that story as it develops. Tesla Q3 deliveries, though, they're in focus right now. Big, I guess, time here for Tesla. Analysts are predicting an 8% increase year over year in Q3 deliveries. They're estimating about 470,000, a little bit less than that, to be delivered. Basically, factors driving growth, specifically, Brendo, China, the incentives by the Chinese government for EV sales looks good. China, by the way, 1/3 of Tesla's deliveries, or 1/3 of Tesla sales, and increase, obviously, government subsidies.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited about this robotaxi event to come.
Yes, 10-10, baby.
But yeah, I mean, chart looks pretty good here, guys. Relative strength for Tesla today.
Yeah, definitely, Brendo. I like that the chart on Tesla here. Nice little build up. It's finally kind of broken out of a higher time frame trend as well. Yeah, with the deliveries numbers coming out today and the robotaxi event on the horizon, going to be definitely interesting here. A bit of a range forming over the past couple of weeks here. 260, 264.86 is the high here. Let me take off some of these lines here so we can get a bigger picture. So let's go out to the 3 hour. I do like that right here. You can see that we were kind of consolidating in and around here. We finally did a bit of a breakout here so late September, and now we're kind of consolidating underneath these highs from before. 271s is the high right there, trading at 258. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting day today with those delivery numbers coming out there, Neil. So I'm going to keep a close eye on this one, just using these prior highs and maybe some of these lows. That 250 bounce yesterday. Oh boy, we got a nice little reversion all the way into the close. Look at that. Strong red, strong red, strong red. First green, and that's where the bid catches. And sure, it's nice and slow, kind of a methodic, kind of a grind up all the way into the close for a close in and around just underneath 260. And we're trading right underneath that level there, Neil. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching Tesla today with some of that spice coming up on the horizon.
Oh, look, Tesla's going to be super spicy. There's no question about it, Obi. And I think, it doesn't matter what direction it goes. If you get a disappointment, obviously 250, as you said, is going to be a level. I just feel like you play like an over-under. Like 57 was afternoon support on Tesla, and then you go back to Monday, and it was 57, 257 that is, was kind of double barrel support area. If it loses that, then I think you can trend all the way back into 50. If it holds on to this on the deliveries number, you press up into 265. Sometimes you hate that sometimes you don't like that a stock is diddling in the middle. And other times when you're waiting on a piece of news, it's not bad because it means if there's, and there we are, okay.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Yeah, it can't be good because it just lost a bid. I've not heard what the delivery numbers are in Tesla, but it just tanked down $5 here. So right down at 253 on Tesla and continuing to fall. Not hearing it in my ear, but obviously delivery numbers are going to be out. Bit of a bounce back here initially. Still waiting for anything. I don't have anything yet till $2 back to the upside as we're now 253. I think that 57 is going to be key. Do they sell off again off of this? So yeah, the algos are having a fun time with this one here as Tesla. You knew delivery, like you knew this was going to happen. Like there's going to be volatility in this one, and you wanted to be able to wait it out. You couldn't just sit there in position and guess at it. But obviously, a bit of a negative move here on Tesla. That was a $5 move on a single candle, and I can tell you, the first thing that happened is there was just no bid. Now the bid's actually coming back in there. There's sellers at 59. Whoa! We just broke the high.
Go.
Okay, now we've broken the high and right back in.
Oh, what a lick grab. Let's go.
Hates to be anybody that caught that. I still haven't even heard the numbers yet. Brendan, do we have the numbers here? Because whoever just blew out the top there just got absolutely rinsed on a false break. The bid is not there. When it starts to drop, I'm looking at the level 2. You saw it when it tried to break 59. The bid dropped to 54 when it failed back through. It dropped from a 58 bid to a 54 bid. If you're trying to trade this right now to the long side, your stops are not going to be all that relevant. So the 250 level for now has easily held because 52 is the bottom. But what are the numbers here, Brendo?
462,890 vehicles total in Q3. That's the Q3 number. That's beating expectations. So better than expected for Q3 overall. They also announced they deployed 6.9 gigawatts of energy storage. We knew that already. But yeah, I guess that's the big number right there. 462,890. I mean, I see both here, guys. The estimate 463,897, but one article saying that beat expectations. I mean, it looks like a very, very slight miss. That would explain the volatility here back and forth anyways. Again, 462,890 versus 463,897 was the estimate. So maybe a slight miss there. 22,915 was other models outside of the Model 3. So 22,913, that also misses expectations. So 439,975 versus 435,920 is Model 3 deliveries. Other models delivered 22,915, the estimate 26,000. So that's probably the negativity here, the outside of the norm. So the Model S, the Model S Plaid, the Cybertruck's a little bit of a miss.
Interesting here because I have total 469,796, and then the previous article that I read, which were the estimates from yesterday, 469,828. So we're literally talking less than 100 vehicles here of the miss. So we'll have to wait and see. There are the deliveries per model. I don't know if you guys can see that there on the screen, but that's the deliveries per model. So we'll have to wait and see how the market digests this after the bell. But already down here, 2.5%, coming into 250, Brendo.
Yeah, this is essentially what you want to flip over here just real quick. It's easier maybe to see. This is a little bit easier to see. So Model 3, Model Y, 443,668 were made. 439,975, 3% to the upside. Other models, 26,128, that number I mentioned, 22,915. So as you said, yeah, 469,796 was the production, and then deliveries 462,890. Yep. So, I mean, basically in line with expectations, I would say. As you said, very, very slightly downside. But in this market, maybe not good enough, guys.
No, and you know what? It even depended on what your estimates were, because there were some estimates. I saw Shift Joe in the chat put in that was depending on, they actually might have beat it depending on the estimates, but price doesn't lie at this point. So I was saying about the bid disappearing, it's one of those, if you're looking at the level 2, because now it's trying to bounce off the 250 level, but when you're looking at the level 2 in here on Tesla, essentially, it's a lot better now that the numbers are disseminating. But when it would break underneath 258, like you'd see offers there and it would look sort of like this, but the bid would just evaporate to 54. Like there would just be nothing for a while. And regardless of whether it's hundreds of shares, like there was just nobody bidding when the gap came in. And when it was up at the top, it was there for brief seconds. I feel it was just enough to run the high. So now you have an obvious, like it's ridiculous.
There's more size on the ask.
Yeah, more size on the ask for sure. 260 is the literal top. 250 and change is the literal bottom right now. I think the over-under area is 57. Like down there is where the bids would evaporate. When it would get 57, 58, and then turn, that's where there was a lack of buyers. But there's somebody buying down here at the 250 level, at least for now, here on Tesla. I haven't checked anything out on sympathy. I do feel like every now and then.
I looked at Neo, Rivian, nothing's really.
Yeah, nothing's really going. Like it's all Tesla. Rivian was already going to the downside for the last few weeks anyway, so I don't think anything is going to change there if you're looking at that sympathy play. But Tesla, not a good look. Price doesn't lie. It doesn't matter what your expectations were, whether you think it was a slight beat or a slight miss. We're down 2 points here. It's only 2 points. Sometimes you can see more than that. But remember, it did rally going into the numbers. So really a $10 move to the downside. 250 isn't gone yet.
No, not
it's
yet.
Just, it seems like it's a matter of time here, Obi.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that we got to continue watching. That's what I said earlier as well. That 250 kind of prior day lows at 248.54 there, right here. So we kind of talked about a bit of a chop range there, but we've been trending up into some of these levels. So let's see if the bid catches somewhere down here, or are we looking for that continuation? Now again, deliveries pretty much missed by 1,007. Out of 460,000 ish. So it's just like it's not that bad of a miss. But again, like you said, we've got to just, doesn't matter what that is. I do like to focus more on the price action. The price is kind of to the downside here. So let's see if the bid is real over the past few days, past few weeks. Let's see where, if and where it'll catch. If not, then yeah, looking for a potential breakdown of that prior day level of 248.54. We're just churning a lot of volume here in and around above this 250 right now. I'm just watching this tape. Now, as you can see right here, like look at all these block boys coming in at the 250s, 252s, a lot of blocks trading right here. So interesting stuff nonetheless. Let's see if we get that continuation to the downside, or maybe we catch a little bit of a bid here on Tesla. Going to be on watch. Again, one of the top ideas, other than Nike today for me, for sure, is Tesla today. Again, delivery numbers, one of the biggest catalysts that Tesla has, right? It's how they're doing, how much product they've been kind of really pushing out there, and looking like a skosh under expected. Here comes the 250 there, Neil. No real size, 168 lots sitting there. 168 lots, oh boy, that's nothing there. So that's just size being shown, but I think that's going to slice through that like butter. Here comes the 250 here, Neil. So let's see how far low we can go on Tesla.
Yeah, you start thinking about where support is underneath that. I mean, you have wick support at 248, and then the big level is like 235. Yeah. That's where this stock, look, was previously a huge resistance level for a while. And if you lose $250, I think whether it's today or going into Robotaxi, which is first, I think you're probably looking at a move into that. The 250 is going to be a key hold. There is, as I said, there's wick support underneath 250 from yesterday, where it got all the way down to 248.60. Like the level's 250, the bottom is 248 and a half. And I just looked over at that, while we were distracted, that Joby bounced right off of that 550 level. Shout out to anyone that's trading that one. But there goes $250 on Tesla. It's still looking to bleed to the downside. Now 3%, but it's trying to... It's just some buyers that just stepped in and got smoked down to 49. Yeah. It's still the same story. Like it's a little bit spready, a little bit tighter than it was before. But when it broke the 250 originally, they tried to buy it back up to 80s and right away back down into 249.30. So still a very, very heavy bid. little bit more.
Here comes
Yeah,
yesterday's
here comes a
low.
little bit more liquidity coming into it, but yesterday's low is about to break. Tesla just continues to fly downside. I feel like there's probably going to be some kind of a relief bounce at the open.
Reversion, you say?
Well, I mean, that's one way of putting it, I suppose.
No, I got to do better at finding that continuation. Let's see if I'm going to see it. If we're selling off pretty aggressively.
Yeah. Well,
right? So if
my
the
plan
bid
was-
does show up, let's see if it fails to follow through.
Yeah,
And get in the direction.
I wanted something more controlled into the 57 level. That was my over-under. But when it was losing the bid there, it was going to 54. So there was basically no entry point that was reasonable off that 57 level because it would get up here, and then when it would break there, you're already at 54 even. So if we get some kind of a bounce, we'll look to play a little bit of a fade. I mean, the 250, if we never break back above 250, that could set a pretty easy level of entry. Now the 54 sets up as VWAP, and then I already had 57 marked off. But Tesla to the downside, not looking too good here. But hey, they're not the only thing in the market, though they just turned the market red, boys. Let's get on to some of the other names here as we're starting to level off here in Tesla. Let's go back to the desk.
Quietly, OpenAI just came out and dropped a little nugget as well. So OpenAI forecasting revenue nearly tripling to 11.6 billion next year in 2025, and then 26.5 billion in 2026, again from OpenAI. So I checked Microsoft's not really doing much on that, but that's massive, tripling year over year. And then to 26 the year after.
A lot of concern about the AI spend, Brendo, bringing all the data centers online and spending on the advanced AI chips, and concern because you don't know whether you're going to be able to monetize that in time to be able to get that back. So we'll have to see how much of that 25 billion in 2026 are actually going to be able to hold on to with respect to earnings. So unanswered questions.
All right, we're getting on a time here. Let's just jump right into everything else that's moving around here this morning. We kicked it off, if you're with us, at 8:30 with a look at Nike this morning, downside in a pretty big way, withdrawing their 2025 forecast.
48 was nice there.
Yeah, well, look, obviously we were just discussing Tesla off of yesterday's low. If you liked the long and you liked the reversion, the play was off of yesterday's low, it looks like. But Nike, so in all of that, Nike's still barely moving off of the bottom. It's not, look, if you're going to talk, no one ever wants to hear things like you're getting rid of your guidance. The numbers was kind of a mixed top and bottom, but overall, ball don't lie when it comes to Nike. The good news, as I said before, you got trend support down at $80 on the 50 period, and I drew a trend line, but the more I look at it, it's like I don't need that trend line when the 50 period is doing the same job for you. So $80 is a nice little area to look for some potential support. But if we never break out 80, I said 83, but it's like 83 and a quarter in here. That's a dark pool wick. That's a real one. So 82, 83 and a quarter. You break that, you wait for 85. If you're looking for a fade, which I am. If you don't break this, it's a simple failed break of pre-market highs. Let me just go to the 3-minute. Maybe that'll look, yeah, it looks way better if I use the 3-minute for you guys. So if it's a failed break here of this level, then I look for a curl. If it breaks that, then I wait for the 85 level, which was simply the initial support in the aftermarket. So I want to be patient with Nike. I am looking for a continuation to the downside at 7%. I think there's support at the 80 level. If it gets there and I haven't gotten short, then I feel like it's a bit of a mistake for me.
Yeah, no, I like that Nike level as well. We did speak on that a little bit earlier today. Just two kind of levels on watch today. That 85, what is this? 85.20, 85.42 I have here, and then the low at 81.30. Just kind of let's see what we do. Let's see what we do with Nike on that one. Bit of a sell-off there. We are making lower highs relative to prior earnings as well. Want to keep that in mind. Anchored also sitting right in and around that consolidation high at the 85 halves right now on Nike. Thank you, Randy, for the banana.
Oh, no way. I'm already...
Nice.
Okay, so I had to cop to this. Like, Sean didn't eat his banana yesterday. So it was just sitting here. I'm like, whatever, I'll have that. So now I got 2, but I'm not going to eat 2 in a day. You got a lot of potassium. So I'll save this one for tomorrow, I suppose. But thank you, Randy, for that.
Yeah.
You want to stay strong, you got to eat your fruits and vegetables. But the Chinese ADRs don't seem to need anything to stay strong.
Bit of a squeeze.
A little bit.
Citrus.
Maybe we'll come to the desk. I don't know.
No motivation no motivation needed whatsoever over the past couple of days here. Nice bounce off the lows yesterday for NIO. Yeah, we're off the highs here significantly with these Tesla deliveries this morning, but NIO trying to bounce right now off 725. I mean, all of these looking very similar. XPeng still holding on to a nice bounce. It's actually up significantly more right now, about 6.5%, 3.7 for NIO. Li Auto even catching a bid once again today. Huge reversal bar if you go out to a daily chart for all of these to start the week. We had that bounce yesterday. We'll see if there's follow through today. This Tesla number, though, not going to help.
No, it's not going to help at all because what we're looking at is possibly more weakness in the Chinese EV sales. So we'll have to keep an eye to see where those Tesla, where they missed essentially on the estimates for deliveries to see whether or not that can affect some of these Chinese EVs. But we were looking at the deliveries yesterday with respect to Li Auto and Zeekr, XPEV. They were all year-over-year increases. Some of them were even all-time highs. So we'll keep an eye on them. 10.5 million shares already traded here, guys, for NIO.
Yeah, the volume's in, but it's doing this is sort of what we said when we mentioned this the first time. Like, you're gapping up, and this is one of those mornings where you're starting to fill in the gap to the downside. So the last time it did this on NIO specifically, like there was the gap up, it filled in the gap all the way, and it didn't do it till the end. So it's not like you even got a really good chance at the bounce play, because that's like 345. It was literally the end of the day when it filled in the entirety of the gap. Then look what happened. Liquidity grab underneath that 665 and then bye-bye right back to the upside. So like $7 is the key level on NIO. I feel like sometimes when it's like the same level multiple days in a row, like 7 was resistance in the afternoon, so 7 was resistance yesterday. 7 was the key price we mentioned in the afternoon show. So 7 again. We closed at 703. I think if it closes the gap, that's the only spot to look for the bounce on NIO. Alibaba, this is not any crazier. 113, basically yesterday's close, just a little bit underneath 113, and then that was the high the day before. So if it's going to fill in the gap and bounce, it's the 113 level that I think is the most important one to look at for Alibaba. So some Chinese strength here, but you're gapping up and filling in the gap. And the last time we did this, it ended up being trend down. Baba didn't hold support. NIO did. The NIO support is going to be at that $7 level for myself.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm watching when it comes to I think it's a bigger picture China trade, so that's why I want to look at FXI. You can also be looking at Yin, YINN, or Yang as well, which is bull and bear 3x leverage ETFs, respectively. And I think these kind of trade a little bit. I think they trade a little bit better in terms of volatility, a little bit more muted volatility versus some of those other large cap ETFs, large cap stocks like Baba, JD, and things like that. So 35.05s on the gap up here on FXI. I like that. Let's see if we do a little bit of a gap fill. You're right, Neil. What was this, on Monday when we did gap up a little bit into 33, we sold off aggressively, and that was a nice trade there, and now we're doing a little bit more of a gap up, even higher up into 35.77. So let's see if we can get a little bit more of the same, or do we break this pre-market high at 35.77 without a pullback? I have no idea. Yesterday, very, very strong bid up into the close, back into that 33. So that gap up is definitely interesting. Oh boy, 247s coming in on Tesla as well. Oof.
4.25 now. Tesla just making a new day low here on the way to the downside. So we'll keep an eye on Tesla again. DJT, pretty active here so far this morning. 2% downside, trying to roll over as well. Couldn't get, well, I mean, it did get above 16, but could not stay there coming off the VP debate. Dare I say, respectful, civil.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even good to watch VP debate last night.
I was shocked, but I was surprisingly happy about how it went. I had, on this side of the border anyway, we'd had kind of enough of the tensions and the disrespect. Yesterday was an awfully respectful debate, although disagreeing markedly on many different issues. Let's talk about how DJT's been trading up 15%, yeah, over the past 5 days, but, finding resistance here at $17. We, Brendo, still have been putting in lower lows and lower highs, despite some of these good, high single-digit days. It's going to be tough to watch today.
So much to look at today, yeah. What do we do here, guys, for DJT?
I've paid for locates again because they're like super we get them super cheap here, 1/5 of 1 cent per share, just in case it sets something up. I mean, the level, these are going to be easy levels. You can see, I mean, all day long, it had resistance at $16.50, and then you closed just above the 16 even. So the close price is like a fail break of the pre-market high. A break of the pre-market high would be like a fade at the 16.6. There was a failure to follow through on that level in the afternoon yesterday when I was looking for it to break out the top. So, you know, after the event happened that everyone was sort of saying could give it a bit of a jolt. If that doesn't, then go back to thinking shorts and the obvious levels, fail, break, reversion on yesterday's close price, and then the 16.60. We also had, like, Ford also reported their numbers as well there. Just very quickly, their sales climbed 4% for Ford in Q3. So 504,000 vehicles, and EV sales were 23,500 for Ford. So, I mean, obviously Tesla, which is now $246 and still falling, bigger deal. Ford going sideways. So on a day like today, if you're going sideways when you deliver numbers as an auto name, it's not too bad. But Ford did not move on theirs. Tesla is now down 4.5% and still cratering. So much for looking for that bounce to fade.
Yeah, no, like we talked about before, that 250 retest was quite nice, and we were like, okay, if we got to wait and see for that bid to come in and see if that bid kind of fails to follow through, and that's exactly what it did at that 250 for that continuation to the downside here. So any sort of bid that did happen happened from 248, 247s all the way to 250, and then nice little flush. But yeah, DJT over here making price action great again with a nice little fade you can see here, but expanding volume coming in on this bid up right here. So there's a lot more volume being done here than was on the fade back down. So I do like that kind of look there. So going to be watching that consolidation high from prior days right there. You can see in the pre-market we couldn't really get past that nice little distinct kind of resistance here in the 17, just below 17 halves. We're trading a little bit lower here on DJT today. Not really doing too much relative volume in the pre-market right now, but something to keep on watch for sure with that volume kind of trickling into this ticker as well.
Mobileye under pressure here, just made a fresh day low as well, through 13, straight through 212.80. There's a few analyst notes, including this, there's a downgrade worth noting, but Goldman with a reiteration of a buy on Mobileye. They did lower the price target to 20 though.
Yeah, and then BNP Paribas as well, Brendo, chiming in today with a neutral rating. From neutral, to underperform, so downgrading in there with a $12 price target, which is about a 10.75% to the downside. You know, Mobileye's been facing downward revisions from analysts despite, exceeding Q2 earnings and revenue expectations. The company, for whatever reason, seems to have a net negative margin, and analysts predict a loss for the upcoming fiscal year. So we'll have to watch how this company does, but it's been a tough road for them.
Another one with so many other things to look at today. I mean, 240,000 shares traded here in the pre-market, not a heck of a lot for MBLY.
So it's trending down, losing off the 50 period on Mobileye. So I won't trade. It's on 200,000 shares. So there's the daily chart. However, very similar last few days on Intel. The difference is actually above the 50 period on the daily, but we've been looking short since the break of 2330. Realistically, yesterday it lost that, and then we're shorting off of the 2280. So right back to the well. 2280 looks like the level to fade. The thing to keep in mind, however, are these bounces off. Like, it held the 50 period. That was the low of the day. That's 2220. So that could be a bounce spot. So if it gets to 2280, you're looking for 5-10 cent risk trade. That bottom at 2220 to me is to be respected. You broke a bit of a trend, and now you're holding the 50 period moving average as your new trend line above. So it can trend down, but without any big flat bottom break through that 50 period, you're looking to go inside days, which is fine. Because on this stock, 2280 to 2220, that's 2.5%. So Intel, I'm looking for a fade once again. And just because we're not going to have any other way to talk about it, Nvidia, I mean, you guys can see 115 probably as clearly as I can on Nvidia. That's been support for a minute, a couple weeks. And if we lose that one, there's a bit of a gap underneath on Nvidia. 118, it's like 118.5 resistance. I'm pretty sure in my note I put 118.70. Yeah, it's like 118.5 into 119. would be the resistance level. That looked like it was going to do a pop and fade into it. Then Tesla delivery numbers came out and somehow managed to bring everything to the downside. But Nvidia, you can't lose that 115 or you're in trouble.
Yeah, that Mobileye, we were talking about it before. Nice little downtrend coming into this downgrade as well. We've been making lower lows and lower highs as well on this ticker. This is a 15-minute chart, so we have come a long way. So I'm just, again, it could be like a trend trade where you're looking for that continuation trend to the downside there. Again, with a little bit of a downgrade, but maybe not the top idea today. But it does look like for the past couple of days, it has been selling off into some of these levels, maybe something at that 12.5. Just looking at some of these prior lows to see what price action may do in and around some of these levels on Mobileye.
All right, we'll recap here. If anyone's just joining, 4.2% right now for Tesla to the downside. Just made a new low, trying to bounce though. For anyone just joining again that missed it, Q3 deliveries out this morning. Slight miss on expectations, but very, very slight overall.
Yeah, so here's a look, guys. So it looks like we're going down here because the whispers numbers were a little bit higher than what the actual production or the deliveries were. So, we've talked about this on the midday show, but these earnings whispers, or in this case, obviously delivery whispers. Tesla did actually do a little bit better in China. So I'm looking over the details here. We're wondering about whether or not weakness in China contributed to the miss here. No, they sold about 814,000 units in China, which is about a 15% year-over-year increase for Q3. We've already gone through the different models and what they delivered, but we'll have to see how they finish off the rest of the day.
Yeah, no bounce yet, guys, here for Tesla.
Not yet. Just a quick note here. Imbalances, nothing really early. Just want to make sure we see that for everybody else. Like NIO's like 500,000. The last few days, it's been over 1 million shares. I feel like almost on a daily basis. But NIO 500,000 to buy. That's the only significant imbalance. We'll let you guys know if we see anything on the NASDAQ in about a minute and a half. 9:28 is when we see a lot of those start to trickle in. So Tesla, still no bounce. I mean, that 50 level failure, it bounced off of yesterday's low. The failure to follow through at 250, which sometimes you should, it is what it is. I was anticipating that you would break up. We'd look at that 54 level or 57 for a fade, thinking that some buyers would come into this. They still have not. The last bounce off 46 is running into a similar problem here at 47. I think Obi just a minute ago was mentioning 241 as support. And then if you lose 241, 235 is the big one. So 41, 35 look pretty good. I'm still thinking you can get some kind of a relief rally that you don't want to fight if we bounce up. But all of a sudden, that runs into 50 before it runs into 54 or 57 for me. I haven't really marked off 54, but when we were losing the bid and when the number came out, when it would false break or lose 57, it was immediately 54. That was the first level that liquidity would come in when I was watching the level 2. Not even the tape, just watching the level 2. That's the only price once you were under 57 that buyers would reemerge, and they were still getting dumped. So 50 first, 54 if it breaks, and then 57. I'm looking to fade pops in here on this, and I feel like there could be a solid one at the open, Obi.
Yeah, I think again we'll see what happens here. Prior day low, we're trading below that. We talked about that. That was 248.54 there. Prior day lows, we got a nice little strong bid off of that, going in all the way into the close. Now again, selling off on a slightly missed deliveries number there. Pulling back into some of these prior levels here. So, like I said before, this thing has been breaking out. It broke out of this 235, as Neil pointed out. 235, a bit of a potential level to keep it on watch, and then a nice little consolidation push up higher into 264 highs. Let's see if some of this buying comes back in if we do go to those lows there. But as of right now, 245.80 is the low, and we're starting to catch a slight bit of a bid. But let's see what happens off of the open on Tesla. Definitely one of the top watches for us here today.
Yes, sir. Are we going back over to the desk quickly? Yeah, just before we get into the open, let's get into Sharif to see what the lesson is today.
Level 2, Neil. Today we're going to talk about the mixing of level 2 with volume, especially when we've got gaps. So check that out today with Satya and I on How to Trade Midday Show.
That's right. So joining Sharif today, talk about level 2 is the birthday girl. It's Taya's birthday today. I don't mind saying it. So everyone make sure you wish her a happy birthday when she comes on the midday. Less than 1 minute to go, we managed to get through the open and did not talk about energy. So let's try and do this relatively quickly but controlled. energy was strong yesterday. All the oil names were strong. We mentioned XOM a little bit, but Oxy, I like dips. Why is there a 700,000 bid on Occidental right now at 54? So a couple of things to look at. Prior day high, can it hold on to prior day high or 53.25 on dip buys? Watch out for oil in particular, oil futures. If they are tanking, do not necessarily want to be buying the dip, but if they level off, I do like it. And then oil inventories are coming out at 10:30 today, so watch out for that. But you know what? Time to drop the countdown on this Wednesday. The bell brought to you by Firefly Neurosciences, revolutionizing brain health. Shout out to them. Shout out to Tesla for giving us this move. But ring it off there, Adara. Yeah. Thank you very much. Wow, that bid on Oxy is getting filled the whole boat at 54. 700,000 shares, all of it, one shot on Oxy. So some guy just posted 700,000 shares at 54, filled in a single shot at the open. That's not usually the kind of place where I'm just going to jump into it. But we want to see if that pre-market, that aftermarket high can hold, sort of yesterday's high can hold, or we hold 53.25. Tesla obviously is going to be the big one today for volume. There's a bounce, Obi. It's still trying to take out 250 here. Just got into 49, 70s, 80s. Yeah, they're really churning into this 50 level and trying to take it out. If this does break out, I think you could see, there's a fail already. Wow, it doesn't even, they can't even get it through. I'm going to take a shot here. If we break through 50, I think that's like an easy out on Tesla. We're going to make sure we get that out there. So the first test was, can you break through 250? The answer is no, we cannot break through 250, all the way down to 245. Now we're bouncing 245. You just saw me try to punch. All right, in, out, just like that, 250 fail break. And then we're right down to 245. Got 49s into 48s, then got some 46s out there. The buying's right back at this 46 level. I was anticipating a bounce at the open. That's all you got, and now we're headed lower. But we took our shot at it. I thought we were going to get a bigger move to the upside because I thought 54 or 57 were going to be the big levels. But we took our shot. Still holding on to 45s is Tesla, but very, very quick action. That's why we marked off that 50 for everybody. And now you can see the 45 holding. Are we even going to see your 41 there, Obi? I don't know.
No idea. I think that bounce is coming in real hot there. Got a little short on that break, but we did do a bit of a lick grab there. 45 halves, I'm sitting at trading at 46s as of right now, but very, very volatile. So going to continue watching that one there to see what that has in store. That 250 reject right off of the open there. We talk about trying to get involved at some of those levels. That 250 was also an interesting level in the pre-market. We saw that initial little bounce there. Couldn't really get past that 250, and then now the opening reaction. Opening range high sitting at that 250, oh boy, and coming right back into those lows. But a little bit of a chop here, 246 halves as of right now. So we're going to continue watching that one. 83s holding on Nike, so there is that as well. I'm going to keep an eye on that one there. Again, we talk about that 85 and that 81 area kind of being potentially an area that I personally like, so I'm going to be patient for those levels to come in to get involved here. Tesla flying. Holding. Amazon is flying, you say? What is going on?
Yeah, Amazon is flying. So forget about that 183.50 level that I thought was so big on Amazon. It got to 184. I suppose that should have been close enough. The market, like the NASDAQ is leveling off here. It's not really doing a heck of a lot, and the ES is continuing to fall. Get to Tesla. If it gets back to 250, that's going to be one heck of a test. But Amazon does not make the bounce where I wanted it to. I'll look to join on Amazon. I like the long here as long as it holds 183.5. The futures are basically flat. But Nike might be the fish to fry. So it did the over-under and just wicked the top. Not exactly where I was thinking at the 83.25, but very close to it at 83.5. I'm trying to zoom in so you can see. So there's like a weird little rounded top there at 83.5. Next available pop, I want to get into the short on NA Nike. I don't even know sometimes why I try to say anything other than the symbol is not more simple than just saying Nike. So I'm going to get the offer in on Nike in case there's a bit of a pop. Tesla is right back to retesting 250. Okay, never mind.
Oh boy.
Tesla just broke the 250. So again, like everyone trades their own. Sometimes you'll make that trade where you go 50 to 45. It's like, oh, you should have held it because it goes to 241. In this case, you already saw the buying down there in the pre-market. Like you have this level to that level, and then that's the trade. If we break out above, I think we're headed to the 254 zone. But another wick top on Tesla at 250. I'm going to let this one settle down a bit. The only trade I took was the initial pop and then the fade at the 250 level. I'm looking for 254 if we do break higher here. So the buy action is coming into Tesla as we speak. Yeah, you can forget. What the heck, Nike? Nike's already at 82? Really? Okay. Yeah, Nike's already back at the bottom here at this 82 level.
Yeah.
So we'll have to be pretty patient waiting for a short in Nike, as that is right at the low of the day. Apple's actually about to break the lows as well. Tesla is back underneath that 250. There is a battle being waged on Tesla. I've canceled my offer on Nike. When it's $1 away, I'm not just going to sit there waiting for it. But Tesla now really starting to catch a bit above the 250 level. It's really going. That Joby is going as well, DJ, but my focus was trying to get into a Nike short, and we've already made our play in Tesla. Adara, what do you have for us?
One of the biggest continuation plays over the last few days, still pretty strong here. We have the Chinese ADRs to the upside after the Hang Seng's best day in 2 years in terms of one-day performance and a 13-day winning streak. We have BILI, Billy, pretty chief example of this. Great volume off the open at basically day's highs here, up almost 17%. So Chinese ADR is still in play, guys.
Boy.
Yeah, BABA did fill in some of that gap. NEO never really got to that $7 level I'm looking at. BABA's back at 116. I just wanted to see if any of them was setting up where we liked it. Nope. No, Bob, we got 720 on NIO. That's not nearly close enough to the 7 that I wanted. I know everyone's going to be paying attention to Tesla. They are, on a delivery day, you know that's going to be the jam. Okay, so you're starting to see some actual selling come in underneath that 250 level. So it did break that high. Got to 250 change, call it like 75 or so. Now you're right back underneath VWAP, looking to resume possible trend into the downside. I'm going to look for an entry, a little more reasoned entry, maybe the next available pop, because there's still a 245 break available, and you still have possible retests of the 250 level. Looking over at Nike, it's not providing any bounce for us to be able to fade it. Yeah, so obviously that's going to be a big one. Tomas in the chat just reminding me about Coinbase. Okay, so Coinbase, SSR bounce. I know I had it in my note, but Tesla is Tesla, and we took that trade off 250 instead. There's your SSR bounce off 162. It's already at 164. If I get that trade, I'm out there already. So congratulations if you took the SSR bounce on Coinbase. It's trying to go green after yesterday's bloodbath. So Nike's trying to pop. We'll look to be able to fade that. And yeah, just eyeballs on Tesla if it can give a nice entry off of this VWAP here in the 250. Don't want to be chasing it too far down.
Yeah, exactly. I think you want to be a little bit patient there. I got involved a little too early there, but got a little bit more on that 250. Let's see if that 250 holds as of right now. That 83, 82 holding on Nike as well, so going to keep that one on watch. As well, futures to the downside there, 19.9 is what we're bouncing off of right now. As again, eyes on Tesla. Opening price is 247.55. We're trading at 248. 60s, 70s right now, so just consolidating a little bit of a chop and churn underneath that 250. A bit of selling pressure in the pre-market off of that 250 as well. And yeah, we'll see what we do with that 250 going forward here, and maybe reassess some of these shorts if we can trade above, or maybe look for places to continue this, the flush that happened off of the reaction, the catalyst, the deliveries. Again, coming in at about 1,007 deliveries less than expected there on
They delivered
Tesla.
Volatility is what they delivered.
Oh boy, they definitely delivered some volatility, but let's see if Tesla can get a little charged up going into the rest of the day.
Oh, I like that one. Another nice little pun there. Look, there's a lot of buying in this level. Now all of a sudden you're getting some sell off to 249 area on Tesla. Just looking for a quick over under at that price. Still sellers. Come on, give one little push to see how strong it is over 49. There it is. Now you're actually getting buyers above the 49 level. They're starting to filter in. I want to see if they can actually press it in for another like wick top fail break at the 250 level would be the ideal entry. If they can't do that, then I'm probably looking back underneath the 249, which is starting to happen now on Tesla. So there it is. It just came right back underneath the 249. This, I don't think I want it getting, if it gets all the way back to 250, I think I don't like it. There. So the buying stopped at 249.35 on that last move. So that's where I'm going to tap out at 249.35. It still feels like it's making higher lows. Okay, so let me explain. I executed first and then didn't explain. So it still feels like it's making higher lows in this last move. So I don't want it getting in 250. It looks like it's an upward trend. So it's scalp it to here. If we break, hold it to at least 246.5 is going to be the game plan for the re-entry. And if we break out 249.5, I'm getting the you-know-what out of Dodge because I feel like that's just a precursor to a big move to the upside. The market is running down here, and Tesla just continues to catch a bit of a bid. So I think it's more of a scalp trade off of this level where I don't want to lose 49 all the way to like 51 or something like that. So that's the plan of action for Tesla. Nike still bouncing. I don't necessarily see a good entry on Nike short yet. It's starting to come back up. Let's look for the 83.5 zone and just wait patiently for it. I did, while we're getting into Tesla a couple of times, thankfully it's been working. I really missed a chance to short Intel up here. Intel went all the way to $23 exactly and immediately pulls back 2%. So up 2%, down 2%, it's back into red. I was going to try and pick something up in front of VWAP. I'll let this one calm down. But that is a false breakout of the high, which makes me want the head and shoulders short on Intel. But we're back into Tesla. It's still holding on to these higher lows. Be careful with this. Like, there's been some spots to get some good short trades if you wait for it. Like, allow it to show the sellers underneath that 50, grab the lower high. But the buyers they're battling here at 249.
Yeah.
I think it was right to scalp them out. Because
look at the market. Look at the ES flush.
No, the ES is flushing right now, and Tesla's not following through. The other thing that's kind of strong is Nvidia is holding on to 115. I don't want to completely ignore Nvidia. So Nvidia is holding on to pre-market lows, 115 and just above 115 has been a big support line. While we're headed down, it has not really broken that level. So watch out for Nvidia and some of the chip names if that's what you're looking at. Tesla, it just can't break away from 248 to 249. The volume is tremendous here, but no breakaway just yet.
No real breakaway. Opening range, still trading between that opening range, still trading above opening price. Again, opening price is 247.55. It's trading about a point above that. Again, we said churning lots of volume in between the opening price and that high opening range high at that 250.70 area right now. So just going to continue watching that one. The markets, Neil, are flushing to the downside. Oh boy. Look at that. ES is looking aggressively more bearish than the NQ. Oh boy, here it goes. 247's coming in. Let's see if we can get that day low there. Opening range low is 245 on Tesla. They're trading back below the opening price now, 247.30. So let's see if we can get that bit of a flush. VWAP also rejected there as well. So VWAP I have at 250.22. So let's see what we do in and around here. And again, I'm gonna be referencing the opening price. I'm gonna be referencing the opening range high and low as well. We're trading between those levels as the market kind of comes into a flush there. 82.50s on Nike. So that one still might take a little bit longer to work. Not really doing too much as of right now. I was looking for a nice little continuation off of the open there. Didn't really come in as aggressive. Now Tesla, definitely number one on my list there. On the day, let's see what we come into here. I did say that 241 might be an interesting level there. If we can crack some of that day low, that 245, oh boy, the market is coming in real hot there, Neil. Flush into the downside. 245.12s is the low on Tesla today. 246 halves trading as of right now. Let's see if we can catch a little bit of a bid there, or do we flush through that day low and continue to make some lows there as well? I have no idea. We also reject something to note. We also rejected prior days low as well at that 248.70 level. So a little bit of we got VWAP rejection. We got trading below opening price as of right now, and a little bit of selling coming in, and we have tailwind from the markets as well to the downside. Let's see what Tesla does.
It's flush, and that's what it's doing. Oh my goodness, Nvidia is also going to maybe break 115. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Nvidia just tagged 115.15. The only thing we're in is Tesla. It's the only thing we've traded a couple of times to the south side here. And we talk about being patient at the open. Really, let it set up. When it sets up, get the fill at the right price. We still have a 245 bid to contend with because you can see the buying. it's showing you where the buyers are. Like, they're right here at 46. That's why if you lose 46, you have a 45 break at the bottom to the downside because the buyers are above 45. So if it loses the 46 level, I actually think the break at 45 can be a solid trade. If we continue buying through 46 a couple more times, I might jump out, look for another re-entry point here. Oh, Nike just got VWAP and I missed it. All right, so we might have just, while Tesla was breaking down and we're going for the plan of action down there, Nike just lost that 83 zone and is heading low with the rest of the market. So might have missed our entry on Nike short, but that's okay because Tesla is probably going to do way more volume and give you more trading opportunities. Going to be looking at some energy, and I know there's some moves happening in the Chinese names to the downside. But here comes that battle of 246. If it loses, if the sellers lose here and reverts, well, I almost got my, do I want to put a stop in or go manual? I'm going to go manual with this one. If we break above the 46.50 zone on Tesla, I'd probably just punch out of it here myself. But yeah, you're battling 46. I think this could be a bit of a curl. This is where they bought it last time.
Yeah, so that's where the bidders kind of showed up last time as well. Market catching a bit of a bounce here. Funny enough, market catches a little bit of a bounce, and then Tesla goes to the downside, testing its day low there. 245 halves coming in there. So let's see. We're just trading between 245s and 246 as of right now. What's up, Adara?
Behind these Chinese EVs here, I'm not seeing much of a move yet, but just worth noting, we had the German finance minister coming out right now saying that, quote, Germany must avoid a trade war with China by opposing EU tariffs on EV cars. So we have a bit of Germany's take here on the tariff situation. We also have your, I just have the NIO chart right now continuing to push lower, but just a note there with regards to the EU tariffs, guys.
Yeah, well, NIO's on a collision course with $7. It seems like that's going to come into play right quick, everybody. So I got my eyeballs on that. Obviously, Nike at 83. I'll let you guys know if it gets there. All right, there's the out for myself. So it's basically the same trade twice. And if we break 245, that'll have to be something different. So we're shorting in front of 50. We're getting out at the 46 area on Tesla here, and then looking for that 45 break. If it bounces again, VWAP's at 49, it might just set it up a third time. But like all eyeballs on Tesla, and we talked about this before. It doesn't really matter what you think of those numbers, whether it was a slight beat of expectations or a slight miss. The ball don't lie, and the price doesn't lie. They don't like it. They don't like it a lot. Let me get my order through for the break of that 45 level, which is now.
Here's the low. Bang, right through 60 pennies, 40 pennies right away, and insta-lick grab.
I didn't get filled.
Oh, boy. That's some wild action there. So, yeah, we kind of cracked it right through 60 pennies. Did you see that? It went down to 44.60.
I saw.
44.66 is the low right there. And we kind of just lick grabbed that, pull right back above 245s. And, yeah, oh, boy. Seems like so the bid into 250 didn't really catch. Let's see if this bid off of a low day lick grab at that 245 catches at all, or we kind of continue to the downside there. Lots of volume kind of on that break as well. So maybe people were playing that low day breakdown, opening range low break as well, and we did get a little nice little pop right back up. Now I know that opening range break is definitely something a lot of people watch for, and I got to be careful as well on that. There's the ES and the NQ catching a little bit of a bounce. Look at the bounce on ES, Neil. So this is distinctly different here as the ES retraces about 50% of the move, over 50% now that we had off of the open there. Tesla is continuing to the downside. Here comes 245 once again here. So day low or opening range low being tested once again. Let's see if we can get through that day low at 244.66. Again, nice little aggressive action. Anybody punching short on the break of that day low is getting kind of rocked as it kind of bids right back up. VWAP at 249.57 here, Neil. So, oh boy, nice little action on Tesla. I do like that it continues to sell off as the market. Now there's the NQ retracing about 50% of its move here on the day today. So, oh boy, here we go.
Oh boy is correct. And look, we liked Amazon. This was the biggest missed opportunity for myself yesterday off that support at 183.5. And then this morning at the open, obviously it doesn't get there, bounces off 184. So if it's going to bounce here and I like the long instead of where you want it, then that's where we're going to take it at the 184. So we just jumped in. It was a clean wick off the previous low and right back in. I'm looking VWAP retrace here. We're under 20,000 on the NASDAQ. We're under 20,000 on the NASDAQ. So even if you bounce off this bottom and just go right back into the top, I'm just thinking inside move. And if you get an inside move, resistance at the 20,000 level is still going to be intact. So we just got to the half dollar, took some out 30s, took some out 50s, now looking for the move all the way into 185 on Amazon. So just traded Amazon long that we loved, and Tesla still doing battle, as Obi has mentioned, with the 245 level. When it failed that bottom, I mean, I got it actually before it even broke the 245 level, but then it wicked the low of the day. No sellers underneath 245. There was selling to break the level. There was no selling underneath it. If that does come in,
oh boy,
which
here it comes.
It keeps on trying, I still think you can get a short. 241 is a big support level on Tesla. 235, heaven forbid we get there today, but those are the levels on Tesla. No, NEO didn't actually get to 7 even. Yeah, it did. NEO bounced off 701. 701 you could have had just now. But we're looking at Tesla and we're in Amazon, so sometimes that's how it is.
Here comes that day low once again, 244.90s, only about 30 pennies away, 80s on the bid, 60s on the bid, fresh lows, 44 halves. Let's see what we do here. We are accelerating away from VWAP now. Let's see if we can catch a bit of a trend because that opening range has broken to the downside. And you are right. On my chart, I have a bit of a multi-time frame level at 241.50, but what do I know? What's a level if it hasn't shown up and is not obvious? So I got to pack my patience there. Shout out to Sharif for this one to kind of catch a true bid, right? Let's see if we can get a reversion. I like to look for the reversion, but I'm trying to get better with catching the trend here, Neil. And we're looking for that continuation trade, and the trend is definitely to the downside here. 244s testing, 243.83 is the day low. We're printing fresh day lows here. Oh boy, I like the trend, Neil.
The trend is your friend till the end, like you said, till it bends, right? So I'm looking to get right back into it and try and get a third trade on Tesla. Obviously, it's going to be easier said than done, but the last time when it broke the 250 level, there was a 2 retest, check it 3 retests of 250. Part of that was the pre-market action, so you might not get a retest at 245 in here, but that's what I am looking for. NEO's at 7, no break of Nvidia at 115 either, so that still hasn't lost the bid, but the story is going to be Tesla just still bleeding to the downside. There's no good way to put a spin on it. You're down 5.5 points here on Tesla. I want to resume trend at 245. If I don't get picked up in here, then we're just going to have to play it on by ear the way down. All right, Amazon. Okay, Amazon's starting to run out of steam. I have some concern here because I thought we'd be bouncing a little bit better off this 184, and you're losing the bid here at the half dollar. No reload if we're just making lower highs into the same downward trend. We want to make sure we don't throw away our profits by just hanging on to some long. I like the level, but if we just keep trending down on Amazon, I don't need to be reloading into absolute oblivion. All right, I'm not going to get picked up at 45, so I'm not going to jump back into it if we do make a big bounce of like $3. Just going to have to play it by ear. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and I'm just going to take a sip of the coffee. I'm not reloading Amazon unless it does some kind of a trend reversion off of the bottom. We'll just hang on to the 84s for now.
Yes, sir. So I'm looking at this trade here. I'm almost half an ATR up on this trade. So I do want to we talk about what was that ATR on Tesla was about 10 points there that I saw off of FinViz. So I do want to take a look at it around half ATR as we break further lower there, 242, 242s and some change there. So yeah, a little bit of a miss on deliveries, but we kind of talk about trying to get with the trend here on Tesla and starting to turn a lot of volume here in the low 240s. Can we get to 235 today, Neil? Is it going to be a trend day to the downside? Oh boy, 243s making some fresh lows here. 242.75 is the day low as of right now, but we're churning and chopping and churning here at the 243 mark. Here, I'm just waiting for that 242 halves to see if that can potentially come in. If it doesn't, that's okay as well. 241 halves as well, kind of a bit of a level for me. Let's see if we can get to that higher time frame level, or maybe we bounce a little bit earlier. But kind of coming in here, we saw what the market did off of the open there as well. Fresh lows there on Tesla, 242.60s, 242.60 now is a bit of a day low as of right now. This thing is moving real fast there. So when I'm watching the tape, you guys can see I'm like staring it down. I got to watch that flow kind of come in, and I got to read the rainbow here.
It's a good flow.
Yeah, it's a good flow to the downside here. Let's see if how I do reading this rainbow here, which is Tesla. We talk about tape reading again. When it's moving this fast, it's a little difficult. I like to stare at the level 1 when it's moving this fast, and then just use my peripherals to see the greens and the reds and the mid prints, and see a little bit of maybe some patterns there on Tesla. So I'm going to take a little bit off there.
You saw that bid too.
I saw that bid come in, but again, we talk about, can the bid really kind of push here? So I'll take some off right there and see if we can come into that 241 as of right now. But that thing is selling off aggressively, Neil, making some fresh lows there. I do want to hold on to a little bit of a piece here. Again, initial punch was at just below 246s, and we held all the way to 249s because I was like, oh boy, not without me. I'm gonna stay short underneath that 250 if and when that comes in. We saw that level give us a little bit of a sneak peek preview of what participants might want to do at that 250, and oh boy, are those participants, or is that sentiment kind of continuing to the downside as of right now as we trade a little bit lower here, 242 halves, Neil, on this Tesla move. Oh boy, that thing really was charged up. And
charged down?
I mean, charged up for the downside, you know.
Yes, it was charged up for the downside, to be sure.
We don't really stay too biased for long or shorts, even though I think I might like the short a little bit better.
The trend is the trend.
The trend is the trend. That's what I'm trying to get.
It's like look, man. Marlo said it in the wire. My name is my name. The trend is the trend, right? And that's how it is. Meaning, my name is my name. Your name is your word on the streets. The trend is your friend in the markets. So whether you get in once, twice, thrice, I wish I could tell you I got in thrice. I'm glad you held on to it. Everyone has, look, you have to have your own trading strategy. So when I saw it bouncing, and there were buyers for a hot minute or maybe a hot second at 45, I got out. Just quickly, we're about to lose the bottom. That 241 is going to be a big deal. I did enter.
Here it comes.
I did enter into the lower high on Intel that I was mentioning earlier. And the other thing that's also happening, just want to, so all-time high is $1 away on XOM. The energy names are starting to fly. I did not get the trade in energy as we were in Tesla, but Oxy went right off of yesterday's close and bounced pretty clean. So 53.25, the low is 53.27, and now bouncing. But it's XOM that's carrying as far as energy names are going. Tesla just continues to lose the bid. It's looking rather nasty. I do have to worry about Amazon because it's still finding the same stall zone. It's not getting to VWAP. And if it can't get there, I'm still not reloading it. I want to see a bit of a trend reversal. Maybe I'm going to offer into the 80s. Want to be able to take some out if we get to VWAP. You're running into resistance on Amazon. And the next punch up, I want to be able to grab this. The market's not really going anywhere at this particular point. So I want to try to go station to station if that's going to be the plan. Jay Lee just said, please let us know when Tesla goes SSR. So the good news is, all you'll see is this hits 10%, but also it closed at $258, which makes the math relatively simple. Just, subtract $25.80 from that. So we're talking like I don't think it's going to get to it, but you got to get down into the 233 range. And 35 and 41 are going to be support before you get there. So if we get SSR, you've gone to the monster level on the daily, which is 235. Yep. And I think that's where I was looking for. Like, I don't want to be long unless it's off of one of those levels. 35, 41's a little more loose because that was just like on the upward trend. That was an open price. And then you had a key close, which was kind of in between there. So the 241, I have it as a little bit more loose of a level. It's the 235 where I'd be at least, you know what? I'm going to be looking for longs if we see 235 today. And that's not 10% down. So SSR could happen. I think that's very possible on delivery day. But I'm probably looking for a long before that at some point. The trend is your friend, man. The thing is a short till it's not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's rare that you can catch a full ATR on a ticker there, but only about 3 points away from a full ATR relative to my position here on Tesla. So let's see if we can break some fresh lows there. 241s. I did have a bit of a cover there at 241.70s. just above that 241.5 level that I do like there as well. So let's see if we can get to that 241, guys. So let's see, got a little bit lucky here on the trade. That 250 kind of showing up. I got to be way more bigger in some of these trades, but that's something I got to do. I'm gonna be working on now. I have been, I guess, one of my goals for today was trying to stay involved with the continuation trade. Yesterday, I got myself a little chopped up, trying to revert a trade that continued on Apple there. So I was like, today, I'm going to try to do a little bit better with Tesla, and got a little lucky here as the 242 holds as of right now. Let's see what Tesla will have in store for us today. What's up, Adara?
We have here the first half hour of the market. It's been a pretty exciting one. Nice little recovery here for the SPY and the NASDAQ, both down about 0.25% as of right now. Of course, a lot of things we still haven't watched continuously here. We've got the ongoing Chinese ADR strength still very much in focus and very much active. We also have what's been going on there with the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. So oil, absolutely on watch here, as well as travel names trading a little bit lower. Keep an eye on defensive stocks as well. Another continuation story here definitely worth noting is with what's happening with Tesla. We have those deliveries coming up. We actually also just got a note here from Adam Jonas of what are these analysts here saying that basically about the robo-taxi and how there could be potentially initial commercial introduction by late 2025 or 2026, saying that Tesla was likely to offer a dual approach with respect to autonomous ride sharing. So new note here on TSLA to be aware of. In terms of other stocks on watch, Humana here, HUM, trying to recover here with slightly higher lows, but down about 20%, providing an update here on the decline for their stars performance in 2025 and how that could impact their quality bonus payments going forward. We also have Nike, of course, on watch here, more or less kind of stagnant right now, still at about 7.5%, basically withdrawing their fiscal year guidance ahead of the transition of its new CEO, Elliott Hill. Missed here on sales, but beat for earnings per share. Last but not least, here's another area to keep an eye on with regards to the sympathy plays with what's going on in the Middle East. SLV here, silver, the iShares Silver Trust, almost at day's high here, forming a little bit of a bull flag and up about 2.6% here. Of course, as always, lots to keep an eye on here.
Thank you very much, Adara. Just a quick update. I am out of Amazon here. Another sort of failure through this 184.60 level. So we got the bounce off 184. It showed you the bottom both yesterday and then right away at the open. Could not get through 184.65. When it failed that wick, instead of getting fill VWAP, I just get out. I'll look for a re-entry off the 184. If I can get another clean bounce off that level, great. If we end up breaking the low, wait for 183.5. That's the level that we really like. Intel, just quickly, we got the lower high, started the work, came right back into 22.7. This is a don't reload situation for me. There's a stop out. But the reason why it's a no reload situation is I want to see that trend continue. Like we'll get first step in, but that's a pre-market high break. If you break the pre-market high, then hold the low, support coming back in at that pre-market high, which also happens to be yesterday's close, that's an easy out for me. And then if it's going to be the top and you want to short the top, then wait for the top. Don't want to throw away money on Intel when obviously Tesla, I'm still looking for another play in Tesla. But you know what, that might have been the chance. Like the only chance to get in was either the trend reversion here or the breakdown at 45, which I ended up missing. But there's the bounce off to 241.
Oh, yeah.
I think you can easily carry back to 45, 46, the way that this thing is moving around. But let's not sleep on what's going on in Shipland. Nvidia is about to break out the top. So Nvidia holds 115. You can't have every single trade. Guys, so like, sometimes you'll look down and you have a good morning and everything's worked out pretty much to plan, but you'll just look over at missed opportunities. Yeah, of course. Could you have traded Nvidia off the bottom? Would you have picked Tesla or Nvidia long over Tesla shorts or paying attention to Tesla? There's no wrong answer. But there's your move off 115. You got this 118 that we're absolutely churning through. All right, let me just get my order for the break first. Like, put the order in first and then talk later. Okay, so the 118 break, if we break this out, there's a lot of room into 120. That said, I need it to work right away. And if it doesn't work right away, I'm jumping out of the trade because we're right in front of 20,000 and you've just made a strong move in. This is usually where you can find some reversion. So it's a kind of breakout trade I want to work instantly. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to jump out in the first quarter. Tesla, I'm going to wait for about 45, 46 to even look for the re-entry short. So Nvidia trying to take out the top. Oxy, not really giving any entries there. I might pivot off of Oxy to look at XOM for an energy play. XOM, Randy's right over there too. XOM's just looking stronger. At least it was a second ago. Now all of a sudden, it's not looking as strong. But Oxy and XOM, don't want to completely ignore those. But it's been a Tesla kind of day, and I think we've got to sprinkle in some Nvidia if it can make this break.
Yeah, I think that a bit of a bounce there. We talk about that 241.5 being a key level, and Neil, the day low is 241.49.
I like 35 better, I'm not going to lie.
Oh boy.
If it was 35, I'd have been long. But at 41,
yeah.
I wasn't sold. Like 40, the bounce off 41, that was Obi that was saying that. If you heard me say it,
you saw this line on my chart in the pre-market, right? I was like, all right, multi-time frame. I like higher time frame, multi-time frame levels. When I do here comes that 81.30 on Nike, so potential
81?
80. Yeah, 81.30 on Nike. So yeah, we did reject that VWAP right off of the open. Their nice little aggressive selling there coming in on Nike off of the open. This blue line right here is VWAP. This red line is anchored VWAP to the earnings reaction there. We're coming into some of these lows here. Earnings reaction low right there, 81.30. We're trading about 60 pennies away from that one. So that's going to be potentially the next trade for me. If it sets up right, but that selling at that VWAP was quite nice here. Let's see. Tesla is still kind of holding underneath that 245 level as of right now, catching a little bit of a bounce here. But again, looking for, I'm thinking about how I can be bigger in this trade, right? I'm like, all right, I might not have been as big as I wanted to be because of punching the lows here and taking that aggressive little breakdown. And that breakdown did lick grab 246s and bids up over 4 points to the upside 250. And then I'm like, all right, well, buddy, I want to get involved if you're going to reject 250. And this is the ideal entry. And then I can be taking that same entry on the right side of the V here when that comes in, and maybe have the confidence to be even more aggressive there as we're trading below that 250 as of right now. But yeah, that continuation trade, oh boy, I'm starting to like this stuff right here. On the day, and then we are breaking right back down 242 halves. Something I'm doing, interestingly enough, is also keeping an eye here on the 10-second chart, because Tesla was moving so aggressively fast. I'm like, all right, well, tape is slightly legible, right? I do like watching the tape there, but it was moving quite fast. If I were to give it a rating of between 1 to 10, I would say it's definitely at least like a 9, 8 and 9, maybe sometimes even hitting that 10 mark in that price action right off of the open there. As well. So I think that when it gets to that, I do like to pull up a little bit more of a visual there. 10-second chart or even a 5-second chart there can be a little bit useful there on the Tesla. And let's see if that day low comes right back in here. Trading at 242.80s right now. And take a look at the futures, Neil. Almost pretty much a 100% reversion. Oh boy, talk about reversions. 100% reversion there on the ES, taking a little bit of a pullback off of those levels that we sold off of in the pre-market and off of the open as well. Not necessarily 100% reversion off of some of these highs, but if you're looking at opening prices right there, the NQ did revert 100% of that flush up into the 19,960s before coming back down. We're trading at the 19,940s right now. On the NQ. So I am kind of, again, being I'll be a little bit more patient here, see what will come in. Nvidia testing yesterday's consolidation highs there, end of day consolidation highs at that 118 as of right now. Van Eck, oh boy, SMH ripping to the upside there. So that's pretty aggressive. SMCI catching a little bit of a bid as well. We know that name bit interesting as they did a split yesterday, a 10-to-1 split. On that one, Intel catching a little bit of a bid off of 22s, 22 potentially a bit of a higher time frame level as well. I had some other names in play today. Again, I was like, all right, I made a list, did a bit of a scan this morning. I'm like, I'm watching Nike, I'm watching UNFI as well. UNFI, 118 broke on Nvidia. Yeah, that thing is it's probably blasting there.
Yeah, it's definitely strong. But like the thing is, so 118 just broke on Nvidia immediately. The usual on a breakout, sellers at the quarters. if it presses through the quarters, I don't want to take anything out at the 50s. I think when you zoom it back out here this is a 3-minute chart. When you zoom it back out here and you look above the 118, it makes sense that you find some sellers at the quarters. And then out and above, I'm kind of looking at the 119 for it to sell in front. Like I said, it needs to work right away. I'm going to give it up at that quarters as well, because if you lose 117.75 or so, you could easily pull back into VWAP, 117 even, look for some re-entries. Again, just the way that I want to be able to play it. We did have a super chat. I wanted to make sure we got to the super chat here. Thank you, JTK Palantir with a few exclamation marks. Appreciate you. I have not looked at Palantir this morning. The focus has been on Tesla. I think rightfully so. Like, to me, Tesla, if you're going to trade it, it was going to be your best opportunity today. So for me, it was the best opportunity this week, and it has been so far. Palantir has been on one. There's no question about it. A little bit of a failure underneath the 37 level as we speak. Want this to fill out so you can see what's going on here on PLTR. Just another pop, but a fade at that 37. This can get through 37.5. That's the zone that I've been watching for Palantir. 36.5 has been a good one, although a little bit of a chop. I should get rid of that line. I don't think it is all that valid anymore. I'll get rid of that support level. It's more like the 36 today. So 37.5 is that big resistance that this thing needs to chop through. It could go station to station, consolidate up here, join the trend into 37.5. But I've been looking for that to break out 37.5 for a hot minute. Thank you very much, JTK, for the super chat there. We'll get back to Nvidia in a second. Tesla's still trying to bounce. So we missed the third entry. I don't want to miss the fourth one here on Tesla if I don't have to. This will probably fill in a second. It just did a test of 245. And remember what happened at the 50 level? Like, it was battling. Then you could see the selling come in, and then it kind of broke the trend in here if you put in the higher lows. So I'm kind of looking for the same thing. I want to see it battle this 45 area, put in the reverse, revert the little bit of an upward trend that it's putting in, and then jump back into the short trade. Still eyeballs on Amazon as well here, everybody, but it's no longer testing 184. You're now getting higher lows as the market's plowing through to 20,000. That's the other thing I don't want to rush into Tesla. I mean, the NASDAQ's trying to go green and break 20,000 as we speak. If that's going to happen, we're hanging on to Nvidia, obviously, and I'm looking for a re-entry point, maybe some higher lows into Amazon. That's another one that we like to the long side. Chef Joe saying Qualcomm is strong. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. If we're going to crack 20,000, it's an all hands on deck kind of situation. So we're just in Nvidia off a recent break. Can be patient for a short trade if we see it again there in Tesla. I do want to take a third or fourth if I get the chance to. I just heard, what was it breaking? Was it Whirlpool? WHLR making some power moves in here. Wheeler, that's what it is. Wow. Okay, something's going on with Wheeler. We'll get the story from Madera here. I don't know it. I just heard it in my ear, and I just heard WHLR. I'm like, okay, so it's Wheeler going. Looked like it was about to go into the halt band. But yeah, it looks like it was about to halt. But yeah, breaking $10. Obviously, this is one of those low float type of runners. So zoom out, and no one ever went broke taking profit. If you happen to be trading this, it's at a big level between 10 and 11. I wouldn't chase this one unless I knew there was a really, really good catalyst here. Because look at what happened after the reverse split. It's like another reverse split bounce here on WHLR. Just in Nvidia. There's the sellers in Tesla again. Obi.
Yeah. So yeah, some sellers on Tesla. They're rejecting that 244 as of right now. So I'm just watching the tape here. The reversion on the futures, man. Oh boy, I'm like, all right. So focused on this Tesla move, and I'm like, oh boy, we get 100% reversion here on the futures. So looking at the spider as well, nice little bottom there at that 565.27. What's up, Adara?
No news on this WHLR, but I actually have the daily chart here up for Wheeler. This is a REIT. This is a real estate investment trust. It's worth noting here, this one has run in the past. We have under 1 million shares traded so far on the day. And in terms of other details to know here, we have a float here, very small float, around 620,000 shares from what I'm seeing. Roughly 25.4% of that is sold short. And then we have a market cap of around $5 million. So definitely some information to be aware of with Wheeler, including the fact that we've only just now reached about 1 million shares traded on the day. So definitely not a ton of volume on this, guys.
Yeah, it's not a ton of volume, but I mean, there's a lot of action. I just saw someone in the chat say when I zoomed out, there might actually be a couple of splits on that Wheeler, not just the one that I was showing. I didn't zoom out very far. I was showing you guys a 15-minute chart. So if that's the case, obviously, that just makes it worse in my opinion if it's split twice in a recent time. So we got the 1-to-1 on Nvidia, but now you've lost a bid, so I just jump right out of it. I feel like if it's going to upward trend, the next stop would be holding a higher low at VWAP. It's a very, very steep move here on Nvidia, looking something like this. So if I'm ever in a breakout above like an even dollar level, I do not need it losing the steep trend. Not holding it all the way $1 against me. I think you want to find those entry points that fit your risk parameters so that I can make essentially a small loss on something like this. And then when it works out for you, when you make that similar trade with a tight stop, you're just trying to hold it from station to station. Tesla looking like it's breaking back down here. I just at the same moment was trying to grab that 244 in there. All right, might have missed the chance. There was a little over under there at 244 or right there, and then a retest underneath. I tried to grab it right underneath 244 at like 95 or something like that. We might have missed that opportunity, and we'll try to get back in on Tesla. It's holding trend down, but it's not as much acceleration as before. Market is pulling back in here again. I hesitate to go over to Nike because I'm going to cancel my 83s on Nike. It's now in a very gentle phase. I don't wonder if we missed the best opportunity to short Nike, and now it's just leveling off. So got to play the patience game. Not going to throw away the profits from this morning. Amazon and Tesla, for me, have been good. And then flat on both Intel and Nvidia, as they just didn't really have the follow-through. Nike's coming into VWAP. I still want to be net short this name. I'll wait for it to get to VWAP to put that one in.
Yeah, I'm just kind of continuing to watch this Tesla as well as Nike again. Both of my two top names on the day there. I like that Amazon as well. I don't know if that Amazon came into that level, Neil. Okay, so Amazon's still trading at 184.5. So I like that. We were talking about. Neil pointed out in the morning session, the pre-market session, that 183.5. Nice little peculiar hold of that level yesterday, and a bit of a higher time frame level as well. And we're trading above that as of right now. Nice little consolidation yesterday. If you guys go back and look at the Amazon chart from yesterday, you can see how beautiful that level hold was at that 183.30s, a bit of a prior level as well. And Amazon still kind of muted, holding within its opening range, trading within its opening range as of right now. Let's take a look at some of these other Mag 7 names to see what is going on there. We'll start off with a bit of the SPY there. Spider looking very similar to the ES, kind of coming into those pre-market highs and consolidating near the upper quartile of this bid up that we've had so far. On the Spider there. Alphabet, fresh lows there. So Alphabet is the one that is distinctly different and looking a little different on this goggles here to the downside. If you guys pull it up, actually I will pull it up so you guys can see and kind of look along what I am talking about. So Google, take a look at this. So Google, a little bit to the downside here. We'll go to the 3 minutes so we can see more of that price action. But taking a look at some of these other constituents right there. Look at that Nvidia, nice little 100% reversion there off of that 115. Oh boy, 115.01 is the low there on Nvidia there. So we'll take a quick look at Microsoft as well. And Microsoft not really reverting as much, holding down below VWAP there. So maybe some continued selling pressure there, a little heavier than the Nvidia trade there. Apple as well. Apple getting its way there, 50% reversion there on Apple, and then Amazon, of course. This is the level we were talking about yesterday right here. Look at that very peculiar hold of that 183.5. So, oh boy. And then nice little bit up, trading within that range as of right now. Sorry, I just want to go to Meta before we pass it to Adara there. Okay, so a nice little consolidation over 570 on Meta as well. And we're going to pass it over to Adara for an ad read.
This part of the show is brought to you by Trade the Pool. Trade the Pool allows traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital. No PDT rule holding you back. That's how they give a true trading edge. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program to evaluate stock traders like you. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power. And all you have to do is reach the profit goal. The best part of this limited edition program is that they have reduced the profit goal and the minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. And the profit split has been upgraded. So you keep 70% of the profits. You should definitely want to check it out. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description for more information. Also a stock to keep an eye on here, guys. Lamb Weston, LW. Much like Nike, this name reported after the bell here. Beating across the board. Guidance more or less in line or slightly above expectations there. So LW, almost at high of days here, up almost 4%, guys.
Thank you very much, Adair. I want to get to, first things first. Actually, before I get to some of the super chats here, I was on the bid of XOM to take the trend up. I kind of pivoted from liking Occidental to XOM just based on its strength. But we have oil inventories coming out at 10:30. So I feel like taking a trade before that, like right before, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's just a gamble on what the move ends up being in oil on the inventories, which I don't have an edge on. So why the heck would I make the trade before? So I'm going to wait to the back end after we get the inventories number to look for an energy trade. But I want to thank Christopher Mulligan for the kind words in the super chat. We appreciate you so much. We did get to JTK. Shout out to you. And then Candy, thank you for your super chat here. What do I think about Dell in terms of levels? Thank you very much. You don't have to thank us. I mean, we're here for you guys pretty much every single day when the market's open. So you wanted Dell, and now Nvidia goes. All right. So a couple of things. One, Amazon is breaking VWAP. I just want to give you guys what I'm monitoring. Then I'll get to Dell. Amazon's breaking through VWAP and is now trend up. So I'll look for a trend continuation to get the long again. We had 84 to 84.7, and it looks like now it wants to make that next leg. So if it can make a consolidation higher, I'm going to jump over to that. Now we can talk about Dell. Just want to make sure we're going over the things that we're looking at to actually trade. Dell is, when you look at the market now back underneath 20,000, we just broke 20,000 on the NASDAQ, and we're now back underneath it. What's interesting about Dell is it showed you a great sideways consolidation at about the 120 level. So you kind of know where we might be headed. Like these wicks are 120, and then you had like the 116, 117. You broke away, you broke back down under. I love the 50 period hold, but you guys want the levels for today. You've already made the first move, which is breakout into prior resistance. So this is generally, I don't want to short this stock. When the stock is breaking highs and the market has yet to break the highs, I don't believe in the short, but it's getting to that point in resistance where I could see a reversion back in. If you draw the trend line, if it loses trend, I'd expect VWAP to come in, something like that. Probably not the stock I'd want to try a reversion trade on, but it's got a very gentle trend that it's working on to the upside. And usually a break of this, I expect VWAP and then resumption of trend on Dell. Super strong name today, 2.5%. I can only imagine SMCI is having a good one as well. Okay, let's go over to Adara. We've got the small cap recap.
Pretty heavy bearish engulfing candle coming through here on the IWM. The Russell 2000, though, beyond this candle. Decent look here on the day, up about 0.1%. Nice uptrend, though we did have some diminishing volume with those moves up. In terms of small cap runners, Wheeler Real Estate. Here we have this is an REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust, or REIT. Wheeler has run in the past here. This one pushing into new high of days. No news on this. We've got, though, a bit of a larger short flow here, around 10% from what I'm seeing. It's also worth noting for Wheeler that we do have a smaller float as well, about from what I was thinking, about 620,000 shares. Another name here with the larger short float, HUMA. This is Humasite. Wasn't seeing any news on this one as well. It could be running. It's worth noting there's a ticker with a similar name here, HUM, Humana. So HUMA could be running, perhaps in some kind of sympathy with that. That's something that could be possible. It does have a 15% short float as well. Minimal social media attention, no catalyst. RERE, this is AT Renew. This is a Chinese ADR play up about 10%. It is moving in sympathy with those names. No really float news worth noting here. They do have a market cap of around $400 million for RERE, guys.
Oh, flat bottom break on Alibaba just now. So while I was answering those super chats, I might have missed that entry on Tesla, but it happens. Tesla was very calm in the moment. Here off the 244 level, we're looking for that challenge of 45, and then, like your failed breakout, pull back underneath, short the lower high type of entry. So I was yapping away about Dell, and there was the move. But it's not following through the way it was before. So like the bid is not quite as, now it's starting to follow through. We just took out 243, but the battle is right back above it. So yeah, it's not really following through. You're getting a 43 to 44 type of move here in Tesla. Still looking for a clean re-entry into that trade. So I was just saying Alibaba broke flat bottom. I'm going to get to NIO in a quick second. Alibaba just lost $114. This was not a sort of random level. It's right out in front of the pre-market low. So we talked about filling in the gap. It's filled in the gap in 60 cents on Alibaba. And then NIO is back underneath the $7 level. It closed at 703. So it already bounced once underneath. So to me, the over-under at that 7 in the previous close price, it's putting the under in. I'm going to look to short this, not to VWAP, but with the breakdown already happening, I want to short this to 710 in this consolidation on NIO. I feel like if you don't get into this before lunchtime, the Chinese ADRs fall asleep in the middle of the day. Yeah, that was the reentry, 100% on that 245.
Yeah, the 245 came in, bit of a lick grab of this prior consolidation high, but again, we've accelerated below VWAP there. I have VWAP here at 246.85 there. And again, only about a few points away from there. I was looking to add into this a trade there, but I want to be a little bit more precise there. I think that test in between this level here. So you can see that was that wick low from that morning consolidation as well. And we kind of rejected that level right underneath that 245. So we're trading below all of these as of right now, and trending to the downside. We definitely are, but I do want to consider that I had this bit of an area as a key level, and we're consolidating above that key level. In my opinion, as of right now. So do we get a consolidation continuation to the downside, or do we get a little bit of relief up into VWAP? So I want to stay patient for that to happen, and maybe VWAP is where I can get more involved as of right now, but continuing to watch the price action here. I pulled up Humana as well as we were doing that small cap recap. Because of that HUMA running, and I did have this ticker on watch in the pre-market right there. I was looking for that reversion, and I saw the reversion kind of pretty much happen in the pre-market. But look at this level hold of this consolidation low from the pre-market level right there at that 214.30s, and look at that grind all the way up, a hold of VWAP and a grind all the way up into 240s as well here on Humana. So I don't know what the spread is really looking like as of right now on this, but trading at 235s right now, so it might be a little nasty. Actually, we can know what the bid ask is sitting at as of right now here. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'll just pull it up on my book here. So let's just take a look. This is HUM is a NYSE ticker. All right, let's see if Humana will be nice with the spread here as of right now. Trading on NYSE, HUM.NY. Boom, let's see, 234 halves by 235.21. So yeah, there you go. About over maybe 60 to 70 penny spread there on Humana. And this thing has run up all the way from 215s, 216s, 214s, the pre-market consolidation low hold, all the way up for over a 24-point run there for a test of that 240. Now we're getting a little bit of a break in that trend. Oh boy, is this smelling like a bit of a reversion? I don't know if I want to risk 6 points to the top there, Neil.
Yeah, that's quite the look. The trade can look good on the chart. It has to also set up for you risk to reward. I was just showing you the reversion on Dell, and I certainly didn't want that one the way it's strong. The other thing, okay, so I'm into NIO. We were just talking about that one. Bit of an update on Amazon. I don't know that we're getting 184 here. The market is pretty strong. You're putting in those higher lows. I wanted to grab this off of trend here, as now you've got higher lows, clean channel. As this glides up, I'm just going to move the goalpost to try to catch the pullback in. Only looking long Amazon because it's above the 183.5 zone. So the new entry is going to be NIO. In 90 seconds, we're going to get oil inventories. So I did pull back and not bid XOM because as much as it was holding trend, why would I want to get into it before? Like, why would you get into XOM? If you're already in, it's one thing, but why get into it when you're about to get a number? So it did lose VWAP. That'll end up saving me something, thankfully. NIO broke, instead of giving a pop back into 710, it just broke down again off of 7 even. So that kind of set up a different trade, which was to just join the short. And I'll give it back. This I'll give back to 7 even and just a round number. But you saw what happened with Alibaba, right? So Baba was a flat bottom break just a couple of minutes ago here through 114. While that was happening, NIO hadn't broken the low yet, but it was consolidating lower. So this is the ideal entry, but when it broke down under 95, I didn't even get 93s or 94s, just got 92s. $6, and this is a weird one, but like $6.66 is a level, $6.50 is a level as well. Let's go to the desk with Adara.
We are going to get as well in about 20 seconds here those crude oil and gasoline inventories, so we'll get those pretty soon here. Previous for the crude oil inventories was negative 1.43 million. Previous for gasoline inventories was 0.2 million. So let's find out what those numbers are. In terms of Bitcoin right now, trying to make gains. You're trying to reclaim that 62,000 level, but coming off of 2 very rough days, and we just got those EIA crude numbers in. Let's see what the number is. I'm not seeing it show up here yet. So we'll definitely keep you posted with that. But again, in terms here of Bitcoin, trying to recover here at that above that 60,000 level. It looks like we touched or ended up touching just above that level yesterday as we had them move down in the market. In terms of why crypto had that move to the downside, from what I'm seeing, generally in sympathy with the move down in the rest of the market with regards to what's going on here in terms of geopolitical escalations. In terms of other crypto-related names right now, we have Ethereum down about 5% below that 2,500 level, currently at 24, just above 2,400, 24.3. We have BNB down about 4%, Solana down about 5%. Again, we're seeing continued weakness across this whole space in the world of crypto. We got that number a little late here. EIA crude oil inventory is just coming in now. 0.889 million here compared to a negative, expected printing of negative 1.43 million. Again, that print did come in late. So I'm seeing here negative 0.889 million versus negative 0.14. Oh, sorry, here, actually 3.899 million here. So a little bit above expectations here for that EIA crude oil inventories number. Again, apologies for the delay.
Right. Thank you very much, Dara. So you basically wicked the bottom here on oil futures, and then you're trying to recover it. So you haven't really made a big reversal. It was a slight downtrend. You're still up 3 points, but slight downtrend, break of the low, and a bit of a reversal. Unless it starts trending back up, I don't necessarily like that XOM play. So WHLR Wheeler is halted upside again. For those that are asking, the theoretical auction price is 1462 right now. It's indicating an open higher, up 107% is WHLR, and it looks like it wants to open higher and higher and higher. Shout out to everyone in the chat that just mentioned AMD is a lot stronger than Nvidia at this moment. Like you've already broken the high, whereas Nvidia has not broken the high. And then Obi pointed out to me as well. And I'm looking at this one because I was already short at once. Kind of a flat trade. As you can see, we got one step and then it broke out. Trend upside on Intel, but does not break the high of the day. So AMD breaking through highs, Dell breaking through highs, the NASDAQ challenging the highs. A couple of names here unable to. Just going to go to this chart here. I think you still obviously got overhead resistance where you had previous support on Intel. So I know it's going up right now, but until it breaks back above even like the 2330, I'm still looking for the pop and fade. I think Amazon is the one I'm trying to get back into. It just went red to green. We've been only long Amazon early. Now it's just breaking away from the channel. But we got to make a new entry point. And what I like to do in this situation is if this was the channel of higher lows, then when that got made, here is your channel that just broke out. It coincides with the 185. So if it holds 185, long in front of that, we can give it out at VWAP. If you like a tight stop, I guess you could use the evens as well. But trend up here on Amazon, and this is what I want to be able to grab. Just want to answer this question before I throw it back to you, Obi.
Yes, sir.
Trader forever, and I fully don't understand why that is. AMD greater than Nvidia. Totally confused on that one. I try never to understand it. I find it's happened so many times recently where it seems like Nvidia has the bigger level, like the 115 holding, and that'll be the bigger move to the upside. And when everyone's looking at Nvidia, AMD decides to be the one that goes. I feel you just want to look at both and be able to try to trade the one with the bigger trend. So right now that tends to be AMD over Nvidia, which still hasn't even broken the high of the day, while Nvidia continues to go.
Yeah, crazy. We're pushing past that 20,000 mark on the NQ here, as you can see. So we're printing above some of these, I guess, prices that we were at just coming into the open there. 20,000 20s coming in, and ES a little bit of a bid there on the ES as well. Tesla still consolidating above this level in about what is this, a 2 to 3 point range? Well, 242 halves to about 245, let's say, is the consolidation. Consolidation here, with the day low being at 241 halves as well. So with the market bidding up that aggressively and doing about 100% reversion back to its highs, Tesla cannot catch a bid at 250. It cannot catch a bid at 246, and now it can't really catch a bid at 245. So let's see what more this chart and this price action is going to continue telling us here. Maybe we're poised for a little bit more of a downside here. If that 41 half breaks down, oh boy, I think we're poised for the next stop there on the Tesla ride to the downside here. So let's take a quick look at some of these levels on Tesla and take a quick look left to see where we might be poised if we do break that. Now we can come right back up into VWAP as well. VWAP not that far away, man, only about a couple points away as we push up into that 244 area, 246.67 I have here as that VWAP level, and prior day low as well, 248.20. So, oh boy, we are a long ways away from that, and look at that volume coming in. Now we talk about delivery numbers being one of the top catalysts when it comes to Tesla price action. And price action we did get there off of that number coming in 260 highs, trading at 243s, 244s as of right now. So let's take a quick look at the 3-hour chart, and let's get this VWAP out of the way. Let's see if we can identify some of these prior levels. You can see this kind of consolidation from earlier. We're kind of chopping and churning into that consolidation as well as of right now. But something I do want to note is take a look at this bit of a trend. So right here, let's take it from the break of the consolidation right there, a bit of a dip. Is that August? No, August is all the way down here. I do want the August 5th bottom as well. Okay, so a bit of an August 5th bottom there. And you know what, trend has kind of maybe accelerated off of that level there. So I'll take it off of maybe that. Whoa, there are all the lines. Oh boy. Yeah, as soon as
a lot of lines.
It's a lot of lines. It's a lot of lines. Some of them intraday, some of them bigger time frame. But yeah, take a look at that, Neil. So a bit of a hold and push off of this August consolidation. So we did this August August low, that August 5th push there, and then we broke out of that. We pulled back into that consolidation, and then started trending off of that range high hold, trend acceleration as well. So we've broken that trend coming into today, coming into yesterday as well, potentially. And look at that, a little bit of a potential level here. What is that, 238? Here we talk about that 236, 235 area as well. I do have it marked here, a thick green line at that 235 level as well. I don't know if we're going to get there today, man. That's about 10 points lower than where we're trading as of right now. And Tesla, a little bit aggressive bid right back up to this 245 level. So let's see, VWAP all the way at 246.60. So that could potentially come in as well. I have it here on the P Pro at 246 on this specific chart. So yeah, we'll give or take that. We'll give or take 50 pennies on that VWAP measurement there, depending on how you're looking at it. Oh boy, that Nike potentially pushing up higher as of right now too, Neil. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. We talk about that 85 potentially coming in here. So yeah, look at that nice little hold of these pre-market lows. So you pretty much hold the pre-market low. You can't even get there. You hold the earnings reaction low as well. Now we're trading a little bit higher there. Still trading well within the opening range as of right now. So let's see if that 83, what is that, 83, 84s is the day high. Let's see if that can come in. Only about 40 pennies away from that, trading at 83.40s. Pre-market after hours consolidation high again at that 85 half. So I'm looking at both of those levels. Couldn't quite get down to that 81 though. So oh boy, maybe we'll be more patient. How about that for that level to come in? But that reversion definitely did come in there off of the selling, and that bid kind of catching up on lower volume as well.
it doesn't look like one to fight. I think if you had the short early on Nike, that was your jam, and you just gotta.
That was the one.
You pick your poison. On a day where Tesla had the deliveries, I think rightfully so at 9:30, that's where the focus should have been. But everyone has to do their own thing. It doesn't feel like the same entry here on Tesla at 45 as it did before. So I don't know. I don't think I like it as much. It might be this might be the chance, but I feel like I don't like it as much. Look at the long higher low at 243. You have to remember 241 bounce was a good supply zone, and now you're putting in a higher low into that. So I think you could see VWAP here, and if you could see VWAP, then I don't think shorting in here is going to make sense for me because I don't want to be averaging into it or anything like that. I did take Intel on I knew my trend line's going to be gone. I did take Intel on a reversion, sort of. Not really off this trend line. I'll draw it that way anyways. It's more off of connect those two. But back underneath 23, I showed you guys a 15-minute chart, 23.10.
Bless you.
That time I actually hit the mute. Hopefully that actually helped. But allergy season, man, it's ridiculous. No, the 23.10 level resistance, there's your mean reversion. Look for the trade. Now, this is not to me about VWAP. This is about the 15-minute chart reversion off of this high, or prior low being the high. So when you bounce off of previous support to resistance, I'm looking for the pullback trade. Regardless, I'm going to give this to 23 and then maybe try a fail break type of short here on Intel. I'm still in Amazon. We're going to go to ADR in a quick little second. Sorry, I'm back into Amazon, I should say, not still in it, as that's holding on to the top of this previous trend here. So if it loses the trend, I can get out. I actually want to be adding on the way up to 185.70. Let's go to ADR because it's sector watch time.
Definitely a brighter board than what we would have seen earlier today after that nice reversion in the market in the first half hour or so of trading on this very eventful Wednesday. We have the NASDAQ slightly positive on the day right now. ES a little bit flat. In terms of sectors that are notably negative or positive, we have lots of weakness in consumer non-durables, led to the downside by Nike with a sales miss and pulled back guidance of delayed investor day ahead of its CEO transition there. Retail trade also a little bit weaker as we still have traders reacting to the port strikes, which began yesterday. Consumer durables quite weak. Tesla, of course, with its delivery numbers bringing that group down. In terms of strength, energy minerals quite strong. We have these oil names still reacting to the escalation of geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. Though it is worth noting the oil names or oil at prices in general here have dropped a little bit since 10:30 when we got stronger than expected inventories numbers basically across the board. We also have here quite a bit of strength in the electronic technology sector. Broadcom, AMD, Nvidia, Qualcomm, a lot of these chips quite strong. What's more interesting is going to be a bit of the dichotomous action we're seeing here in the tech services sector. These Mag 7s here, Meta, Microsoft, Google, a little bit weaker, though we have some strength in some of the other names in the sector, Netflix, Oracle. We actually have CRM with an upgrade leading this group to the upside. So definitely mixed picture right now here on the sector board, guys.
Thank you, Adara.
Thank you very much, Adara. You see Apple on that board that it's almost green, and it just wicked the high. So Apple's made a strong run into the high. This could be a possible turning point if we lose this top. Like the NASDAQ has been churning. Under 15-minute, you don't have any, there's no red candles here outside of right at the open when it seemed like Tesla was dragging everything to the downside. It's all up since then at this point. So strong move. Apple feels like maybe it's been leading the non-AMD, Dell type names in here. So the Mag 7, it might be the leader. If you can press through the highs, I think we'll get the continuation that we're looking for. I want to double check Meta because I haven't looked at Meta yet. No, Meta's not very strong at all. Meta's been on a very good run, but Meta not nearly as strong as Apple in the moment. It's trying to go green, about a third of % down. Amazon's doing a similar thing, trying to go red to green at this particular battle. I think this is a decision point in Amazon. It either holds right here and we get the break into the highs, we'll scalp some out, then hold for 186, or we dump back down and retest the bottom of the channel. We already went over Intel. NEO's a $7 trade, shorting underneath $7, I should say, as the Chinese ADRs have been under some pressure. I feel like we dodged a bullet not getting into Tesla there at that 45. It seems to want VWAP here, so let's let it test into VWAP and then trade off of that level. You guys let us know what you guys might be trading in there if we're not covering something that's going. I know that Wheeler was making some power moves, but not really looking at that one today. It's been more of a big cap, Chinese names, a little bit of oil if you can find it.
Yeah, I think looking at a couple other names there, looking at, I guess, NEO and SMCI saying David Codd were winners today. So let's take a quick look at some of those tickers right there. So SMCI definitely interesting. They just had a 10-to-1 split, as we mentioned earlier. And yeah, look at that. Trading at 41.11s. Nice little hold of that of prior days. Double bottom right here, prior days double bottom right on top of that 40. You crush right off of, I guess, is that imbalances? Yeah, those are imbalances down to 39.30, and then nice little reclaim of that 40. Holding 40 along with the VWAP, and then that, look at that consolidation, pre-market consolidation high break, 40.50s up into 46 day high on SMCI on that one. So a nice little push on that. NEO to the downside. Now we were talking about this ticker in the pre-market right there with that with the China gap up there.
Bouncing.
NEO also did a bit of a gap up, and I forget who it was in the chat. I was like, all right, I think it was like Ash in the chat. And I was like, it might be nice if we can get to 778 prior day's high, or Monday's high right there. Nice little flush all day long. Sellers kind of showing themselves all day long on NEO there. And take a look at that. You attempt to push a little bit higher there, 759, about 20 pennies away from those highs on Monday. And we're getting a nice little flush to the downside as well. Let's take a quick look at FXI. FXI to the downside, and we talk about some of those ETFs as well. So let's take a look at Yin, which is the 3X Bull ETF there. So pulling back off of 50 is Yin. And then if you like the short side as well, we got a little bit of Yin and that Yang as well. So gap down, trading at 311. So yeah, a little bit of an easier, I guess, lower price to deal with. You can definitely kind of size a little aggressively on these, but doing about 90 million volume on the day today is Yang. Let's take a quick look at Yin as well. How much volume is that doing? About 18.3. And then you also have FXI as well. That's doing about 48 almost million shares on the day so far. So yeah, some stuff to watch out for. I think that China name's definitely in play if you're looking at those, but they've been in play since a little bit of last week, right, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. Just for clarification, I think we need to update the position board. You're still in Tesla.
Yes, I am still.
So we'll refresh that. We're working on making sure we update that. So it'll be still in the Tesla, holding on to the Tesla short. It's still underneath VWAP at that 246 level. As you were mentioning the EV names, you might have heard me say, NEO's starting to go up. So I had it here, low 90s. It got down, printed 84s. That was the low of the day. Reloaded it, but when it goes back to 1-to-1, out through that $7 level, it's still maybe trending down. But I feel like on this press up, we'll let it get back into VWAP and play resistance one more time. Robert Rhodes just said I should be looking at JD. I feel like JD is like the one Chinese name that we never pull. Like I'll pull up Neo and Xpeng and Li Auto and Alibaba and Pinduoduo and never JD. That's just a matter of preference. I mean, they all look relatively the same. Trending back into the downside on JD. Let's look at the overall. I mean, you're not gonna, there's so many gaps on these stocks. Like it just, all you do is gap from level to level. That the daily chart, I feel, is not that constructive. And then the 15-minute will show you. It's just trying to fill in the gap, I feel like. So if you fill in the gap, that's at $43 in here. It's putting in a higher low for now. But unless you're in the trend early, it's a tricky one to join. With Neo, you get in around an even dollar level, and you can kind of trade off those, or every 10 to 15 cents you find levels. JD, it's a much different stock. I don't see anything clean and clear till it fills the entire gap at 43. Still Amazon, Intel after getting out of NIO. And Adara, what's up?
IPO from Hong Kong on watch here. It's called Well Change. Ticker here is WCT. This one opened for trading here at $3.90 a share, though the IPO itself was priced at $4 a share. 1.1 million shares here as part of this IPO. It's only its fourth minute of trading. I have the 1 minute chart up here. Volume around 575,000 shares traded and growing. So not a ton of volume as of yet, but a 2 to 5 cent spread from what I'm seeing here for WCT, guys.
Thank you very much. IPO's back in vogue, maybe, possibly. We'll see. Not PDD. Amazon. We were just talking about Chinese ADR, so I kind of had it on the brain there a little bit. Pinduo Duo. Amazon's trying to get back up. It did not. It ends up with a VWAP hold instead. So I still like the long. We said it had to make a decision. We were in it off the 85. It lost that trend, and so we're back to the other trend, which is bouncing off the original lines. I really only want to be in Amazon long until it loses the upward channel that it's in. So I don't mind getting out to get back in and then just play it to the upside. It has to break this channel for me to give up on the long trade here. The difference now is I will be taking some out inside of the range top and then holding on for more of those highs. The NASDAQ wants the high of the day here. Apple is probably cruising still. Apple's still cruising to the upside. So, you can always find your way back into a trend as long as you have a reason to do so. And like I said, I drew this channel in here. We're going to be able to take it. You could have been done like a VWAP hold, but I just wanted to respect this channel. So the stop was at 184.60, another like 25 cents in there. Now Amazon is churning to the upside, but instead of hitting a key or anything like that, I will point out that our Intel short, again, I like the reversion on Intel, and Intel keeps on going higher. Bias getting the best of me. Intel wants to break the high of the day. This will be the loser of the day for me, obviously, because we took it short twice, flat once, lost the second time. Amazon, which was after Tesla, this was going to be the focus for the long because of the support yesterday. I want to hold this into the high. I want to look for the third entry, fourth entry, or however many times we're able to get into this one if we can trend into the high of the day. So the channel is now broken again to the upside. The NASDAQ is through the highs. I feel like you had to add some opportunities into the long side here today. They weren't always obvious, but if you could get them, they are certainly great. AMD, pointed out by everybody in the chat, feels a little far gone. I never really saw an entry that was very clean into AMD. That's the thing. You can like the direction, but you got to find a trade. And I just never really saw it here on AMD. Unless you had this break right here at 161.5, that's the one that lined up really nicely for you if you're at AMD. Now it's just find something before we get to 165 bucks. So market is now head to the upside pretty cleanly. We hadn't been screaming like we were off some of those bottoms, but it's a nice, strong upward trend. I might have to throw I might throw in the towel on Tesla until it does a real test of VWAP, Obi. I don't know what your plan is, but I've been looking for a re-entry into Tesla, and I'm just not seeing anything that's really setting up here yet. You're at VWAP. It might need to break out above. This was where I was getting out of shorts before. So this would be the spot, I think, to look for the short. But I almost feel like it has to break 46, break VWAP, and then fail, like trap some people into the reversion long over VWAP, and then set up the short trade.
Yeah, I think I like that look there as well. I'm patiently waiting. VWAP, it got up into VWAP there, almost 246.51 is VWAP here. I have 246s on the P Pro as well. So it did get up to 246.11s there, taking a little bit of a pullback. But this uptrend here, I'm like, yeah, I like the reversion off of 242, but I'm trying to get with the trend. I understand that the reversion to VWAP trade is there, but I'm already sitting short. I'm looking for reasons to buy. I'm using that reversion, kind of my other playbook reversion, to be like, all right, well, this is a strong reason to buy. But maybe I gotta do a little bit better in terms of get the flip on this, and then take it to VWAP and then re-engage at VWAP there. But that's another story. But before that, we'll go to Money Talks with Adara.
DXY is highest level on the day and the week here. This is its third straight day to the upside, pushing pretty hard here towards that key area of previous resistance, this double top we had at around 101.70 on that daily chart. Let's see if the DXY can push above this level. Economic data today is super, super light. We did have the ADP employment change this morning, higher than expected, 143,000 versus estimates here of 125,000 and a previous print of 99,000. So well above the forecast and the previous print. Fed speak, we had some earlier today. Hammock in Fed Hammock's first speech since joining the Fed. She, of course, was the replacement for the retiring Loretta Mester. We also have Fed's Muslim at 10:05 a.m. Didn't see any comments coming from them, but As we get into the midday period, we're going to start with comments from Fed's Bowman around 6 minutes from now, starting at 11 a.m. Fed's Bowman, of course, is the one Fed member that dissented from the Fed's decision to cut rates by 50 basis points. So could be interesting to watch. She is known for being a little bit more hawkish. We also have comments from Fed's Barkin at 11:30 a.m. here, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah Dare. And I have to make a correction. I got ahead of myself, and I was just messaging to say, I got a birthday wrong. It's tomorrow, not today. But old men need calendars, and I'm an old man. So I got it wrong. But that's okay, because you can celebrate every single day as far as I'm concerned. You can get it early. And now no one's going to forget. So it is what it is. We're going to be sending you off to the midday. Shout out to Joe for jumping on and doing great options lessons, Joseph with Street. But today, we get a little crypto with Sataya, which should be good. I'm coming back. I just actually went to Obi. I'm like, is Nike at the high yet? And it's getting there. Like, I'm looking at the same thing. We liked Nike for a pop and fade today, but it just never really set up to get me into it. But it is, I know you're already in it.
Yeah, keeping it tight. I'm probably gonna get stopped out soon enough, but I'm willing to give it a couple stabs. That's all.
So yeah, we're at that spot. So just come back to my chart for a second, because I want to just an idea of what I'm looking at here with Nike. Like, I see the cleanup trend. It just tested the reversion right here. Like, it broke this trend line, but it didn't really close underneath. Now all of a sudden you're threatening, even on an up move, to close underneath. Like, that's the entry that I generally like. Like, this second candle here closing underneath, and then the pull back into VWAP off that high of the day. So to me, it's setting up an entry any second now. We're gonna get, I guess this one will close in like just a few seconds, obviously. But I think we're getting to the reversion spot for Nike. I'm still in the long in Amazon. It did just pull back a little bit. Let me just save that so you can see what I'm working with, that trend line when I pull back over to it. So Amazon just pulled back into VWAP for another test. So it's not going to the bottom of the trend line anymore. Now all of a sudden, it's easier to see the executions if I zoom out. Now all of a sudden you're holding a little bit higher than that new trend. So first time on trend worked, second time above the trend line didn't work, third time on trend a little higher is working on Amazon, but not quite getting into the bottom of that trend line. It's a moving target where the stop is gonna be, because if we break this trend line out, so as it glides higher, the good thing about trading off a trend line is it glides higher, your stop moves to break even, and sometimes even in the money when you're working at it that way. So going to be moving the target on Amazon and Nike. I think Nike is setting this up here for the reversion. Only 3 minutes to go. We'll be back at 2 o'clock, obviously, but we're going to send you guys on over. I feel like Nike is the next one in here. I just want to see it close. Looks like, yeah, you're not going to get that. It might break the high of the day on this trend, but it's still observing this trend line. So this trend's not going anywhere for me. If it breaks this trend before we break the high of the day, I'm looking for that mean reversion trade. So yeah, it's just Amazon right now. Tesla is still doing that VWAP thing, I'm going to assume. Can't seem to bust VWAP, that 46. I'm looking for a fail break to get in. It might not even do a fail break. Maybe just a tight stop off the 46 level, 46 level on Tesla is going to work.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for that ad, and we did kind of come into VWAP here, but again, only, about a point away from VWAP. So going to be watching that, a point or like a tenth of an ATR away from VWAP. So I think it's more than capable of pushing another point to the upside and kind of testing that VWAP. I want to stay a little patient to see what price action does in and around that VWAP there. Got a little lucky with that second entry being a much better price than the initial entry. But again, I gotta be much bigger in this trade, and I think that the fact that I punched early, almost 4 or 5 points too early here, and then added at the 59 there, kind of skews my perspective as well. So maybe not the best, I guess. Maybe not the best mental to be in, getting in at the lows and then getting more at the highs. But the thing is, I got to desensitize from that and get aggressive as the right side of the V actually comes in off of a VWAP fail, and then that 250 coming in as well. I like that. So let's see, VWAP again, we are testing as of right now, about a point below VWAP. And maybe it doesn't even get to VWAP. Sometimes you see when momentum is very directional. Oh boy, here we go on Nike. I'm going to try that one again
Right,
because
now
this is anchored. So we talk about that anchored off of the earnings right here. So look at that. We're rejecting that anchored as of right now. This red line right here is an anchored. That's anchored to the earnings reaction as of right now. So we get that little bit of a pullback. The high right now is sitting at 84s. So I did try that initially right here in the 40s, or I guess in the 30s, risking up to 50. Now I try it again here as we get that nice little strong sell. Bit of a failure to follow through of this high potentially, maybe not yet, but that 83, 84 is the high of day, and we rejected anchored, a bit of confluence there as well at 83.78, just about a few pennies below that high of day. So I do like that look. Maybe we do get back to the high of day. Neil is correct. We have not really broken down this trend, so maybe a bit of an anticipatory push into this Nike as of right now, but I do like getting involved off of an anchored reject there. Let's see if it works out. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine as well. Like I said, more than willing to take a few stabs at this one until it kind of shows that it's working. It could also not work, right?
I think the difference.
Stay nimble.
Go ahead. So the only, I know we're going to the midday. The only difference for me there, because it didn't actually, the candle did not again close underneath the trend line. The difference is it actually topped the high of the day. So it did get to the high of the day. That's at least a little bit different for Nike. Now, obviously, it's like you can just be short off the high of the day, but when it broke the trend line underneath after testing the high, I did jump in. At least I'm going to resist adding until it closes beneath the trend line. I think that's going to be the ad. Then you give it to the high. But it is 11 o'clock, everybody.
Oh,
so, we'll be back at 2 o'clock. Shout out to Obi for filling in for Sean. I hope the cross-country meet is going well for his daughter. But it is Sharif and Satya on the midday. Learn to trade. It's all about level 2s, everybody.
See you soon.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl, Satya.
Hi, guys.
I'm Sharif, and we're going to wait everyone to come.